Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Great Voyage. Lord Madara crushed celestial dragons to death with one hand. Chapter 81. Time flies and half a month has passed. Because of his status as 7 warlords of the sea, Baihan easily came to the vicinity of Gaia Island with the help of Marine's special channel. It's just that Nami, who is in charge of participating in politics, has a face full of pain at the moment. After the surprise, Nami also realized how expensive this ship is. As long as he didn't practice, Nami would be talking crazily that the expenses were too high, and spending money was like running water. No way, only coal can be used to generate electricity, and the energy conversion efficiency is too low. If it weren't for Vegapunk's heaven-defying technological level blessing, it's a dream come true to only need 5 million berry coal per 100 nautical miles. In just half a month's voyage, the ship has eaten nearly 120 million berries coal, and this is still with the help of the marine circulating currents to send them to the nearest place to Gaia Island. If they are allowed to sail by themselves, it will probably cost at least 400 to 500 million Baileys. What kind of family would be able to afford such a boat? It's finally here. Let's hunt pirates first. I can't wait to expand our treasury. As soon as Nami saw the boat stop, he pulled Baihan beside him and said. A delicate little face is written all over the word money. Obviously Xiaojin Curry still has at least 300 million berries capital reserves. Well, there seem to be some pirates with a bounty of tens of millions on Gaia Island, who can be hunted and killed. Baihan thought about the plot of Gaia Island and replied. I just don't know if Bellamy's group is here 4 years in advance. If they were there, they alone would be able to provide hundreds of millions of bounties with just one pirate group. And that's the beauty of being a bounty hunter. The money that can be obtained is simply not comparable to that of Marine. Of course, there will naturally be a special merit mechanism within Marine, which can be used to exchange for many things that cannot be purchased with berry. It even includes all sorts of powerful devil fruits from Naval Headquarters collection, body skills tips and the like. And the huge steel ship with the fan logo painted on the bow, as soon as it approached the port of Gaia Island, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. When everyone was shocked by the magnificence of this giant steel ship, I was even more shocked by the huge black and red pattern on the bow of the ship. Because, that is the logo of the only bounty hunter in 7 warlords of the sea. Hiss, our Gaia Island really has a great big shot. I don't know why such a big man came to us suddenly. That is the existence above all the pirates, second only to the 4 emperors and naval headquarters. Nonsense, Lord Baihan is an existence above all pirates, okay. That is, after only half a year at sea, as soon as he entered the Grand Line, he directly killed Lord Baihan, the former 7 warlords of the CK Lokdar. In the future, this era of great pirates will definitely be brought to an end. At this moment, there are already many fans of Baihan in the crowd. After all, the life experience of Baihan, who became one of the 7 warlords of the sea, is too colorful. This is just like the experience of the hero Shuangwen. Coupled with Baihan's attitude towards civilians, how could people not like it? At least, among the 4 seas, out of 1,000 people, at least half of them are fans of Baihan. Looking forward to when Baihan will come to his sea area to clear up those pirates. But the pirates in the crowd fell into panic instantly. They got out of the crowd in a panic, and then fled towards places like taverns in the distance. The news of Baihan's arrival was like a nightmare for pirates like them. After all, Baihan's men never survived. Even Klokdar, the 7 warlords of the sea, said he would kill him. In the eyes of pirates, this kind of cruel character is no different from the King of Hades. In a certain bar on Gaia Island, a young man with yellow hair and a Doflamingo logo painted on the center of his chest is holding a woman in his arms, laughing and drinking. This yellow-haired young man is exactly the target Baihan was looking for, Bellamy the hyena, with a bounty as high as 5,500 square meters. Such a bounty is even the combined amount of 2 evil dragons. Of course, the dragon bounty is so low because of Jinbei. Otherwise, the dragon can have a bounty of at least 50 million berry, or even 80 million berry. And beside Bellamy, there was also a blue-haired man with bare chest, wearing a mink coat, and hugging a blonde beauty with a red hood. This person is the deputy captain of the Bellamy pirates, Sarkis, and Sarkis' female companion, Lily. although as the deputy captain of the Bellamy pirates. However, Sarkis's strength was not that strong, and he only used Bellamy's reputation to act recklessly, so that the bounty was so high. If it is really divided according to strength, at best he can only fight with those pirates whose bounty does not exceed 10 million. Beside the two, several other members of the Bellamy pirates also occupied a corner. A person under Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. The Bellamy pirates can be said to be the overlord of Gaia Island. Coupled with Bellamy's own fairly good strength, Gaia Island was completely shrouded under Doflamingo's rule. There is no pirate who dare not give Bellamy pirates face on this island. After all, that high heavenly Yaksha is a big shot in New World. And at this moment, a pirate suddenly pushed open the door in a hurry and broke in, crying loudly, it's not good, old wood. The big thing is not good. Let's run quickly. Fear was written all over the pirate's face, as if there was some monster chasing him behind him. Everyone in the bar turned their eyes over curiously. What's going on? Why are we running away? Bellamy looked at the pirate who ran to her feet, and asked with veins popping out of her head. If the pirate couldn't give him a satisfactory explanation, he would definitely let him go easily. You know, there are not only members of the Bellamy pirates in this tavern. At the same time, there are many pirates who come here to rest, and even members of the pirates who have business dealings with them. Now that his subordinates ran in so embarrassingly, Bellamy felt that his face would be completely humiliated. Boss, it's East Blue Shira. It's that East Blue Shira. Let's run. If we don't run, it's too late. The pirate cried, tears, 10 faces and 5 sense organs are all wrinkled together. However, at this moment, no one is interested in this pirate. Because, a living hell king for pirates is coming. It's East Blue Shira. Run. The East Blue Shira by Han who killed K. Lakadar. How did he come here? Who knows? Anyway, this kind of big man is definitely not here to look for me, run away. It's too late if you don't leave. Which fool brought Bai Han here? If I found out, I would kill him. A group of backbone members of the pirate group, who were still majestic before, fled in embarrassment. Their footsteps did not dare to stop for even a moment. Even touching the tables and chairs and getting wet with wine, they didn't care so much at all. They only have one thought at the moment, that is to leave this ghost place alive. Bellamy was also shocked by this scene, breaking out in a cold sweat. Although he is very confident in his own strength, but not so inflated that he thinks he can compete with K. Lakadar, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. You know, that is an existence who can write the same name as his own young master. He even rejected his young master's request for cooperation many times. Such a big man died at the hands of that person named Bai Han, let alone a small guy like him. Don't panic, we are under Lord Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and Bai Han will never dare to touch us. The reason why he came here must have his own purpose. Bellamy pretended to be calm, and said to the people beside her. Of course, he wasn't sure what purpose Bai Han had come here. But no matter what, the other party should not dare to take action against the other 7 warlords of the sea, right? Probably. However, at this moment, a terrified cry suddenly came from outside the door. What is this? Why do I have long hands? Wait, don't. Puff. Help, I don't want to die. Puff. I surrender. Spare A. Puff. I'd love to be locked and impelled down. Please. Puff. The sound of flesh being pierced by something sharp came continuously. A bloody smell gradually filled the air. The members of the Bellamy pirates sitting in the bar suddenly had cold sweat on their foreheads, and looked at the half-open door of the tavern with horror on their faces. It was clear that the sun was shining outside, but it made them feel extremely cold. Although they don't know what happened outside. However, it is also conceivable that those pirates who ran out were suffering a massacre. He has no plan to let those pirates go. Hey, Bellamy, think of a way. Sarkis, the deputy head of the Bellamy pirates, grabbed Bellamy's arm in horror and shouted. No matter what purpose this Bai Han, known as the East Blue Shira, has. The other party seemed to have no intention of letting go of the passing pirates. This cruel method made him feel like his blood was frozen. Even the admiral of headquarters Akainu is not so bloodthirsty. At least, if facing Akainu, there is hope of surviving if the surrender is timely enough. Go away, don't bother lousy. Spring fist. Bellamy, who was already nervous, growled angrily when Sarkis interrupted her like this. Then the forearm directly turned into a spring, and Sarkis was sent flying with one punch. After that, he didn't dare to delay for a moment, and hastily and carefully took out a phone bug wearing a feather cloak and flirtatious glasses from his arms and dialed it. Puff puff puff, puff puff puff. The unique ringtone of the phone bug rang in the quiet bar. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the results of the phone bug. They knew this was their only chance of survival. And Bellamy clenched her fists even more nervously. On the one hand, it was because of the terrifying pressure brought by the living Hades outside the tavern. On the other hand, it is because the tension of communicating with the idol I admired since I was a child. You know, he dialed the phone this time to ask his idol for help, which will definitely lower the other party's favor towards him. But there is no way, facing an existence that killed the previous 7 warlords of the sea and thus became the new 7 warlords of the sea. What else can Bellamy do but call for help? But before the phone bug was connected, the door of the bar was suddenly pushed open from the outside, and a woman in a black leather jacket with slightly dark skin walked in with the light behind her back. Ah la la la, there is a big fish here. Robin walked into the bar with a smile on his high heels. Everyone in the bar was suddenly suffocated in fright. Many people even fell limp on the ground, with golden urine overflowing from their crotches. Ha, let me see who they are. Another voice full of vigor came from outside the door. A girl with orange hair in a black dress came in excitedly with a stack of bounties. This was Nami. It's really a big fish. Barry's hyena Bellamy with a bounty of 55 million. Vice Captain Sarkis with a bounty of 38 million. Rebus with a bounty of 16 million. The bounty for all members of the Bellamy Pirates is almost worth 300 million Barry. Nami's eyes turned directly into money symbols. What is in front of her at this moment is not a vicious pirate at all. It's a group of moving banknotes. The Bellamy pirates in the tavern were terrified by Nami's eyes. At this moment, they felt that they were not human beings in the eyes of the orange-haired girl, but piles of goods for sale. Is there anything more terrifying than this in this world? Now, the only thing they can count on is that phone bug who is still buzzing. At this time, there was another sound of footsteps, and a black-haired man in a high-necked shawl walked in. At this moment, the entire tavern seemed to be plunged into an ice cellar. Even if the temperature did not drop significantly, the members of the Bellamy pirates in the tavern were still trembling and their teeth chattering. Come, come, East Blue Shira has really come. A pirate sat down on the ground, unable to raise his strength. He regretted so much why he became a pirate. Otherwise, he might still be fishing at home now, living a simple and ordinary life. This is the strength and power that Bai Han possesses at this moment. Bai Han, who had more than 10,000 lives in his hands, even simply standing there was enough to make that person paralyzed in fear. And only the numerous killings can truly make these desperados feel fear. Not to mention ordinary pirates, even Bellamy, who was no longer considered a weakling with a bounty of 55 million, felt her legs go weak with fear. After all, the person in front of him is no ordinary character. Instead, stepping on the terrifying murderer of the previous 7 warlords of the sea, the lives of more people were contaminated in his hands than the people he bullied. East Blue Shira Bai Han, you can't touch me. Seeing that Robin wanted to do something, he hurriedly shouted. Although he doesn't know what role Robin is. However, since the other party can follow East Blue Shira, it must not be easy. Maybe it's easy to instantly kill a small character like him. Moreover, even if he could escape the black-skinned woman's attack, he would definitely not be able to escape Bai Han's attack. If he really dares to resist, he must be finished. Robin, with his arms crossed on his chest, paused when he heard this, turned his gaze to Bai Han who was beside him, and asked Bai Han for his opinion. Once Bai Han says to kill, she will kill without hesitation. She who wanders in the darkness knows the cruelty of these pirates better than anyone else. It can be said that if 10,000 pirates are directly sentenced to death, there will only be a dozen or so innocent people at most, and the proportion is so small that it is frightening. After discovering that he could use force to make those civilians submit obediently, few people can restrain the darkness in their hearts. Therefore, Robin has no psychological burden to kill these pirates. As for whether doing so would attract any enemies to him, Robin wasn't worried. As a survivor of Ohara, she seems to be no different from all enemy. Bi-Han glanced at Bellamy, said without any waves in his eyes, "Kill it." If it was killing Doflamingo, maybe he wouldn't think about it. After all, the other party used to be celestial dragons. If they were killed easily, the world government would probably issue a wanted arrest for him. For the time being, the identity of 7 warlords of the sea is very helpful to him and can save him a lot of trouble. Bi-Han doesn't want to let go of this identity yet. At least not until the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was activated. He didn't want to do it yet. But, kill one of Doflamingo's minions, sorry, what the hell is he? Even if the person in front of him was Whitebeard's son, he would not be merciful in the slightest. Understood, Master Captain. Robin smiled, then closed his eyes. 6 rounds of flowers blooming iron body. Immediately, all the pirates of the Bellamy pirates in the tavern grew 6 slender arms. But from the appearance point of view, every arm here is crystal clear like jade, and the fingers are long and beautiful. However, when these 6 beautiful hands grew out of thin air and locked all the joints on the body, this kind of scene seemed a little horrifying. Wait, our captain is from the 7 warlords of the sea. Let me go. I will never be a pirate again. Please let me go. I have money. Please let me go. I will give you all the money. Everyone in the Bellamy pirates cried for their fathers and mothers. They could feel the strength coming from those arms locked around them. It's just like being made of steel. This is enough to prove that the woman's strength is far above theirs. Once the other party exerts strength, they have no way to survive. However, Robin will naturally not be merciful because of these begging for mercy. She has been walking in the darkness for more than 10 years, although she still maintains a bit of kindness in her heart. However, this kindness is definitely not for a group of pirates. Strangle. Robin clenched his fist suddenly. Click, click, click. The scalp-numbing sounds of dislocation and breaking of bones continued to be heard. After one of the pirates in the bar uttered a scream, they were completely silent. The only one who could hold on was Bellamy, who was the strongest. Although Robin's strength has improved a lot, it is still very difficult to kill Bellamy in an instant. Of course, Bellamy couldn't struggle at the moment, and death was only a matter of time. Even Bellamy has been locked by Robin and rolled his eyes. His strong body only delayed his death. Under the blessing of Iron Body, once Robin's arms are locked and formed at this moment, as long as the strength is not more than 10 times that of Robin, there is no possibility of unlocking it. At least Bellamy didn't have the ability to break free from Robin's shackles. And at this moment, Doran's laughter suddenly sounded in the bar. Fufurfur, you really deserve to be the East Blue Shira, your killing intent is truly terrifying. The laughing words came to an abrupt end here, and turned into an extremely gloomy voice. How dare you even touch Laozi's people? Can I take this as a provocation to Laozi? The eyes of the 3 of Bi-Han immediately turned to the angry phone bug on the table beside Bellamy. The previous voice came from the mouth of this phone bug. And there is only one phone bug with this flamboyant appearance in this world, and that is Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Even if the other party didn't appear here, there was that overbearing and arrogant aura. But it still made Nami and Robin subconsciously take a step back. Robin locked Bellamy's hand tightly, and he couldn't help but subconsciously relax a little bit, giving Bellamy a little breathing space. Young master, help me. Bellamy, who got a respite, immediately ran into Doflamingo's life-saving straw, which bumped into the expectant eyes. Doflamingo, however, paid no heed to Bellamy's intentions. He continued to press Bi-Han. If you don't want to provoke Laozi on purpose, then give Laozi a face. Get out of here now, Furfurfur. Doflamingo was testing Bi-Han's attitude. After all, Bi-Han is the 7 warlords of the sea launched by Marine, who would believe that it has nothing to do with Marine. Also, Bi-Han is a bounty hunter, and just happens to be in East Blue where Marine has the most control. Doflamingo even suspected that Bi-Han was actually a secret weapon cultivated by Marine. The function is to disintegrate the somewhat bloated 7 warlords of the sea, which possess great power and have developed. The reason why Bi-Han came to Gaia Island this time, his sight in the first half of the Grand Line, is probably because Marine tried him. Therefore, He wanted to find out Marine's true purpose from Bai Han's attitude. He wasn't particularly afraid of the so-called East Blue Shira. However, in the face of the naval headquarters, which is full of masters, his so-called power seems a bit worthless. Neither Nami nor Robin spoke, but cast their gazes at Bai Han with solemn faces. No matter what choice Bai Han makes, they will support Bai Han unconditionally. However, thinking of Bai Han's past character, they seemed to be able to guess Bai Han's next move, and even faintly looked forward to it. What are you? Give you a mere pirate face. Doflamingo, you think too highly of yourself. Robin, get rid of all the pirates here. Bai Han snorted coldly, and ordered with a blank expression. Although he doesn't want to clash with Doflamingo. However, this is only limited to the fact that he will not do anything to Doflamingo. According to the rules of the world government, as long as it does not directly conflict with the 7 warlords of the sea himself, the world government will not take care of it. They can't even hope that the 7 warlords of the sea are at odds with each other. Otherwise, once the 7 warlords of the sea unite together, it will be a brand new force that is not inferior to the 4 emperors. Hee, obey the captain. Robin smiled slightly. Her captain was as she had imagined, he would not give face to any pirate. 12 rounds of flowers blooming finger pistol. Robin crossed his arms over his chest and closed his eyes again. Suddenly, Bellamy's body grew 6 arms again. At the same time, the previous 6 arms were still locked tightly, so Bellamy had no chance to struggle at all. In desperation, he could only watch the fingers poke on his body, easily piercing through the flesh. In just a short while, dense blood holes appeared in every vital point of Bellamy's body. Under Robin's attack, Bellamy, whose bounty was as high as 55 million berry, didn't even have a chance to resist, which shows Robin's current strength. Doflamingo, on the other side of the phone bug, heard Bellamy's screams gradually disappearing from the phone bug, and the veins popped up on his forehead. The valuable crystal cup in his hand was even crushed by him. Let the sweet wine splash on his hands. Very good, you did a good job, East Blue Shira Rihan. You have successfully angered Lousy, this matter will never end like this, fur. Just wait, Lousy will make you regret your actions. Doflamingo let out another horrible laugh. However, a kunai directly nailed the phone bug to the table. Bai Han slowly withdrew the hand that threw kunai, smiled disdainfully at the corner of his mouth, and then walked towards the door. Let's go to the next place. He remembered that there was also a pirate group called the Ape Mountain United Army on Gaia Island, which could also be easily cleaned up. After getting rid of them, it will be hundreds of millions of berries income. Although in the original plot, Chun-Chun of the Ryoma United Army is like a funny character, it doesn't seem to show any destructiveness. However, no matter how domineering Marine is, it is impossible to give a bounty just because someone is good. Moreover, salvaging sunken ships is a very expensive job. It is impossible for every sunken ship that is salvaged to be harvested, and there may even be a situation where nothing is found. Under such circumstances, where did the salvage fund of the Ryoma United Army come from? Apart from attacking passing merchant ships, Bai Han couldn't think of a second possibility. Moreover, the so-called Big Talk Roland's degree is also outrageous. Other residents of Shandia regard Rolando as a hero and look forward to Rolando's coming again. And what did Roland do after returning home? He told his king the news that Shandia was full of gold, and then led the king's army to kill Shandia. If it wasn't for the rising current that sent Shandia to Sky Island in time, then I'm afraid this will be another story between a certain Indian and a beautiful woman. The scalp of the Shandia people may also feel numb. Moreover, in the original plot, after Luffy rang the golden bell, it proved the existence of Shandia, the capital of gold. But it also brought the end to Shandia. Countless pirates have invaded Sky Island, plundered Sky Island's gold, and even attracted real monsters like Kaido. So, how did this kind of treasure hunter somehow make Luffy come into being? Touched, Bai Han still can't figure it out. Is it okay to hurt others for your own dreams? No matter what, this scourge must be resolved after all. While Bai Han was sweeping the entire island, Doflamingo, who was far away in New World de Res Rosa, was destroying the luxurious hull in front of him with a face full of rage. The cadres around looked at Doflamingo with horror and worry. But he dared not go up to dissuade him. Because they don't even know what happened. Bai Han, do you really think that you have the capital to fight me as 7 warlords of the sea? When you come out to hang out, you want to talk about your power and background. You are just a bounty hunter, what are you going to use to fight me? Doflamingo cast his eyes to Diamante, and said in a cold tone, release the news, I will offer a reward of 1 billion Baileys to take Bai Han's head. Diamante, who was named, hurriedly lowered her head and said respectfully, yes, young master. I'm going now. Although I don't know why my young master suddenly wanted to attack the newly appointed 7 warlords of the sea. However, since the young master wants to do this, he will absolutely implement it. After explaining the matter, Doflamingo poured himself a glass of wine again, then laughed and said, Foo-fur-fur-fur, those bounty hunters who received the news will definitely be in awe. Come on, let the bounty hunters hunt the bounty hunters, it's so much fun. In this sea, there are too many people who are motivated by interests. Especially those bounty hunters are basically chaotic neutral. After all, bounty hunters basically go for the money. Compared to those big pirates with great reputation and countless terrifying achievements. Bai Han, who has just qualified for 7 warlords of the sea, is still looked down upon by many people. And the high bounty of 1 billion Baileys is enough to make those hyenas swarm like sharks smelling blood. I'm afraid even Bai Han couldn't have imagined that Doflamingo would use such insidious means. Once the bounty hunters who were dazzled by the benefits were really massacred. Then, Bai Han's reputation will suffer a huge blow, and it is almost certain that he will have no hope of becoming the leader of bounty hunters in the future. And that's where Doflamingo's plan is ruthless. Even if Bai Han can't be eliminated, Bai Han must be severely disgusted. It didn't take Bai Han too much time to get rid of the so-called Ape Mountain United Army. After all, the opponent's highest bounty is only 38 million berry. And when Bran Curry, the leader of the Ape Mountain United Army, also turned into ashes with his sad dream. What a shitty real man's dream. When one's own dreams can cause serious harm to others. This kind of dream is no longer worthy of empathy and praise from others. After thoroughly cleaning the pirates on the island, the 3 of Bai Han returned to the ship named Ashura. Of course, the name Zhong was not taken by Bai Han. It's the name Nami and Robin chose after thinking about it for a long time. What do you mean he is called East Blue Shira by the outside world, so the car should naturally be called Ashura, so as to echo his temperament? Naturally, Bai Han had no opinion on the name of a ship, so he agreed to the name. Hey, the bounties of these pirates add up to almost 500 million berry. On the deck of the Ashura, Nami's writing hands were trembling with excitement. Getting a bounty of 500 million berry so easily made Nami's brain buzzing. This is just to wipe out the pirates on an island, and she has earned a bounty of 500 million berry. If all the pirates in the world are cleaned up, how much reward will they get? Especially those 4 Emperor's pirates, I am afraid that any one of them is worth tens of billions of berries bounty. Robin smiled slightly, looked sideways at Bai Han and asked, Master Captain, how do we get to Sky Island next? Is it the same as the island said, with the help of rising currents? However, a ship weighing close to 10,000 tons seems to be difficult to fly up like those wooden ships. No need, I will use the quick step to take you away. Bai Han shook his head, after pressing a few buttons near the deck. A layer of steel barriers suddenly rose around the Ashura, wrapping the deck of the Ashura. At the same time, one after another lights were also turned on, making the surroundings bright again. This is exactly the function of the Ashura submarine, suggested by Bai Han and designed by Vegapunk himself. With Vegapunk's unscientific genius brain, this submarine transformed from the Ashura can dive into the seabed at a depth of 10,000 meters without any problem, and it doesn't even need to be wrapped with a coating. Of course, the Ashura would have been easier if it had been coated. Then I will trouble you, Mr. Captain. Robin covered his mouth and smiled, showing the charm of a mature woman. Even Bai Han couldn't help but froze for a moment. Of course, Bai Han is powerful after all, and his control over his body has almost reached the point of perfection, and no one can see this change. Under Bai Han's operation, Ashura slowly sank into the bottom of the sea. Bai Han found a cave on the seabed near Gaia Island, parked the Ashura and hid it. Then, with Nami and Robin, they resurfaced in a shark-like small submarine with 3 to 5 people. This is what Bega is also about. although it can't resist the water pressure of 10,000 meters under the sea. But if it is only 5 or 6 kilometers, it is not difficult, and it can be regarded as a black technology. After finding a place to hide the small submarine, Bai-Han hugged the two girls amidst Nami and Robin's blushing, and then launched moonwalk. Boom, 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 pushed by the huge strength of Bai-Han's legs. The three of them directly turned into a hawk and shot towards the sky. If it is an ordinary moonwalk, it is naturally impossible to do this. However, the principle of moonwalk is to step on the air at high speed and compress it sharply into an invisible wall to borrow force, so as to achieve the effect of lifting into the air. And in this case, chakra can do the trick. This is equivalent to providing Bai-Han with a place to land, allowing him to burst out extra power through chakra again to fly faster and higher. This also led to his moonwalk, which is far faster than the moonwalk performed by Marine's generals. But in just a few minutes, the three of them reached an altitude of 7,000 meters directly. It is only one step away from the sea of clouds above the head. Robin, take out the respirator. The sea of clouds also has the effect of the sea on demon fruit power. Bai-Han reminded Robin. Robin froze for a moment, then quickly took out the respirator from his backpack and put it on his face. This kind of thing can ensure that she can breathe in the sea. Before the oxygen is exhausted, it can survive even if it falls into the sea. Although he still doesn't have the strength to survive by himself, he can wait for rescue at any rate. Seeing that Robin was ready, Bai-Han didn't hesitate, and directly plunged into the vast sea of clouds. He is not demon fruit power, these sea of clouds does not have much influence on him. Puff, accompanied by Bai-Han, the three crashed into the sea of clouds. All three of them felt a feeling of being surrounded by seawater. However, compared to seawater, these seas of clouds do not bring too much pressure to people. However, Robin was still limp in Bai-Han's arms in an instant. It's just that because of the respirator on her face, her breathing was not affected. It's amazing. There is an ocean in such a high sky. Robin murmured in shock. She could feel her surroundings as if she was in seawater. If she can swim, she can roam freely in this place. Moreover, there will not be the terrifying water pressure like in the sea. Nami was also shocked, but because she didn't wear a respirator, she could only hold her breath and couldn't speak. But at this moment, a huge eel-like monster suddenly appeared in front of the three of them. The two sides were obviously taken aback when they met. Bai-Han didn't expect to be so unlucky that he happened to meet the creature in the sea of clouds. After all, his observation hockey can't be turned on all the time. However, the sea of clouds creature didn't hesitate for a moment, opened its mouth and let out a roar, then charged towards Bai-Han and the others. Since Bai-Han was holding Robin and Nami with both hands, it was not very convenient to shoot. Robin also has no ability to shoot at the moment because of the sea water. But Bai-Han believes that Nami, the only one who can make a move now, can solve this problem well. Sure enough, after a brief surprise, Nami's body moved instantly. Her fingers turned into an afterimage in an instant. Water-style water-severing wave. A high-pressure water line that was compressed to ultimate spewed out from Nami's mouth in an instant, cutting towards the giant beast that was 100 meters in front of him. This trick is Senju Tobarama's forte. In the Hokage plot, the inherently evil Senju Tobarama even easily cut off the wood style summoned by Lord Madara with this trick. One can imagine how powerful this trick is. Uchiha Madara, who has been fighting fiercely with the Senju clan for a long time, naturally learned this ninjutsu through Sharingan. At this moment, with the fusion of the young Madara's combat experience, it was perfectly inherited by Bai-Han. And this powerful move was taught to Nami by Bai-Han. Although Nami's strength is far less than that of Senju Tobarama, but at the moment the surrounding is just in the sea of clouds, and the most indispensable thing is water. Therefore, Nami's water-severing wave is equally terrifying. Just like the sharpest blade, it easily cut the giant sea beast in half. Even the water column that stretched for hundreds of meters cut a gap in the distant sea of clouds. So strong. Robin, who was held under the arm by Bai-Han, couldn't help exclaiming, this is the first time she saw Nami show her strength. That terrifying water wave could easily cut into two pieces even a marine warship. This kind of strength is enough to dominate the world. She didn't expect that Nami, who usually looks cute, would have such terrifying strength. The blood sprayed out after the death of this huge sea beast instantly made the surrounding sea of clouds boil. I don't know how many sea beasts around were attracted by the smell of blood. However, Bai Han didn't feel the slightest panic about this situation, but directly released the killing intent accumulated on his body. After hunting more than 10,000 people, the killing intent accumulated in him has already undergone a qualitative change. Once it explodes with all its strength, it can even produce some illusion-like effects. The surrounding environment even turned into blood in an instant, and the original seawater became like a sea of blood. He could even smell a strong smell of blood in his nostrils. The small faces of Nami and Robin couldn't help turning pale, trembling under the killing intent. This feeling is like a peerless beast suddenly appeared in front of the eyes. Every cell in the body is releasing alarm signals, urging the body to escape quickly. However, after all, the two still knew that the killing intent came from Bai Han, so they ran away without actually knowing it. And the creatures in the surrounding sea of clouds, the acquisition has become more intense. Those roars that were originally excited turned into fear, and disappeared in an instant and fled to the distance. Although Bai Han's momentum is not Conqueror's hockey, the effect is not worse than Conqueror's hockey. Seeing that there was no threat around, Bai Han put away his murderous aura, and led Nami and Robin to continue their journey upwards. After a while, the three of them broke through the sea of clouds and came to the upper floor. It is already located at an altitude of 7,000 meters, and there is nothing around it except white cloud. Nami said with some disappointment, "Did we find the wrong place? Why is there nothing around? Where is the legendary Sky Island? That Shandia full of gold should be an island no matter what." However, she didn't see any trace of the island here. This is just a sea of clouds at 7 kilometers, and Sky Island is still at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Bai Han looked up at the white cloud above his head, and couldn't help sighing. This world is so amazing. There is actually an island at a height of 10,000 meters, and there can also be mud land. Just imagining this kind of thing is incredible. Of course, the most important thing is that this upwelling current that can rush an island to an altitude of 10,000 meters is a bit too outrageous. What kind of terrifying power does this have to do? Even the powerhouses at the Four Emperors level, under this kind of great power of nature, seem insignificant. This point can be seen from the fact that Golden Lion, whose strength is absolutely not inferior to any of the Four Emperors, lost to a tsunami. 10,000 meters high. Then what are we waiting for? Duck. Nami immediately rushed to Bai Han's side. In Bai Han's speechless eyes. Confused, he hugged Bai Han's half-body. At the same time, he greeted Robin and said, "Robin, come here quickly. Let's go up." On the surface, Nami doesn't seem to have changed much. But from the tips of Nami's reddish ears, it can be seen that Nami is definitely not as careless as she appears at the moment. Although Bai Han didn't notice this, Robin, who was watching from the side, did. The corners of her mouth could not help but curled up slightly, and she twisted her waist and came to Bai Han's side. "Then please, Mr. Captain." After all, she also wrapped her arms around Bai Han's neck under Bai Han's speechless eyes, and hung half of her body up. Bai Han. He feels that he is not as good as before. Having already tasted the sweetness from Nuo Chigao, he really can't stand two beauties with different styles making such intimate gestures towards him. However, since the two of them had already got on the ground, if he was talking about something, it would be embarrassing for the three of them. Taking a deep breath, Bai Han raised the distracting thoughts in his heart, continued to perform moonwalk and jumped into the air. At this moment, it has reached an altitude of 7 or 8,000 meters, and the air has become very thin. Even for a strong man of his level, he also had some symptoms of shortness of breath. However, these effects are not very large, and it is not particularly difficult to recover. Even if the Indra bloodline has not been activated yet, Bai Han's constitution is still comparable to the normal naval headquarters rear admiral level constitution due to exercise and the nourishment of pirate world food. If such a constitution is placed in the Hokage world, it will definitely not be worse than a strong physique player like Third Raikage or Might Guy. It didn't take long for the three of them to ascend to an altitude of 10,000 meters, where a town with a strange style had already appeared. At the same time, there were quite a few angel-like people with a pair of small wings looking at them in shock. After all, the location where the three of Bai Han appeared happened to be in the middle of a road. It smashed through the relatively solid road and rushed directly up. God. God, angels. Are we in heaven? The people from Sky Island in front of them made Nami exclaim in shock, and even Robin's eyes widened in shock. Neither of them expected that creatures like angels really existed in this world. Just the natives of Sky Island. Baihan glanced around and found that it was very similar to the scene in the anime. Looks like they've come to the right place, going straight to the Sky Island town where Luffy they've been. If there is no accident, this place has already entered the monitoring range of Enel's observation hockey, and I don't know what kind of reaction the other party will have. Was it a lightning strike directly? Probably not, at least he wasn't calling Enel by his first name right now. The opponent's special observation hockey has not been able to detect his existence. Could it be that the legendary angel is the aborigine of Sky Island? Nami felt a little disillusioned with her good impression. She saw a lot of ugly angels on the street. If the legendary angels are such things, then forget it. Daba. What an interesting race. A smile appeared on the corner of Robin's mouth, and the surrounding Sky Island aborigines didn't seem to be curious about their arrival. At most, they were taken aback when they first appeared. Does this mean that they were not the first people to arrive here? Otherwise, with their appearance, it will definitely arouse the curiosity of these people around them. Just at this moment, a burst of clattering sound came. The attention of the three was immediately attracted. I saw a group of people wearing white berets and blue or purple uniforms crawling on the ground and crawling towards this side. Nami's eyes widened immediately, and he exclaimed, "What's with these perverts?" Be sharp. He naturally knew what was going on with these guys in white berets. This group of guys named Bibile's troops are not bad at heart, basically no different from Aegean, a village policeman in Kokosha village. In order to prevent the villagers from being punished by the priests, they chose to strictly enforce the law. However, although the heart is good, but these guys crawling on the ground are really no different from perverts. In his previous life, this kind of person would have been imprisoned. After all, many people on the street are wearing short skirts. Fortunately, because of him, Nami no longer wears short skirts, otherwise she would have to be taken advantage of. At this time, Bibile's people had already crawled in front of Baihan and the other three. A group of people stood up at the same time, with their right hands behind their waists and their left hands behind their heads, making rock and roll gestures. Everyone, Hasso, the man with the scar face in the lead roared. And the soldiers of Bibile's army who followed behind him also shouted loudly, "Ha-suo! Nami, Robin, die pervert, go to hell." Nami slammed a heavy punch directly on the face of the leader, Bibile, and sent him flying. Hasso's meaning in the world of pirates is the belly button. This way of greeting is very common in White Sea aka Sky Island. However, for Nami and Robin from Qinghai, it seems a little pervert. A woman's navel is actually a very sensitive place too. It's actually normal for Nami to act like this. After all, it was as if someone had teased them out of the blue. Even Robin's face turned a little colder, and his slightly raised hands indicated that she was about to make a move. Okay, Nami, Robin, they don't mean anything malicious, this is Baihai's special way of greeting. Baihan stopped Nami and Robin with his voice. They are not pirates, so naturally they cannot be as unscrupulous as pirates. Since the other party did not speak out to make fun of him, then naturally he couldn't hit someone casually. Even if the people of Baihai are not under the protection of the world government. Is that so? Nami looked at the Bibele officer who was shot flying and the other Bear soldiers who looked at her with horror, and scratched their heads in embarrassment. Even Robin showed a rare embarrassment on his face. After all, she almost did it too. And if she did it, it would definitely be at the level of split muscles and bones. Yes, that's right. This is just our way of greeting people from Qinghai. Whitebeard Chief McKinley said with a painful face while holding his nose that was bleeding. This little girl's fist is really heavy. He felt as if his head had been hit by a hammer, so he didn't let him go straight away. Nami cast doubtful eyes on Baihan, and after seeing Baihan nodding, his face suddenly showed embarrassment. She hurriedly bowed and apologized. "Sorry, I thought you were, it's all my fault." McKinley rubbed his sore cheeks, waved his hands and said, "It's okay, but did you enter the White Sea through the gate of heaven?" I don't seem to have seen your registration letter. After all, he also glanced at the big hole that the three of them had knocked out before. It is impossible to jump up from below, that would be too outrageous. The gate of heaven. Is there a gate here? So this is indeed heaven. Are you really angels? Nami felt that her three views had been hit hard. Aren't the legendary angels both male and female beauties? He felt that the appearance of the people on this street was not much different from that of the people in Kokosha village. The only thing worth mentioning is that these people have very fair skin. What do you mean by that disgusting look in your eyes? People from Qinghai. McKinley immediately felt seriously offended, and he pointed to the sign behind him angrily and said, "This is Lovely Street, Angel Island, it's okay if we're angels." Nami. She thought it might just be the same name. How could an angel be so weak and so ugly? She wanted to say something, but Bai Han interrupted the conversation. Okay, let's talk about the topic later. Can you tell me the location of the Forbidden Island here? He intends to capture Enel first, so as to save a long night and dreams. This is the last piece that makes up his Ashura. Once this last part is perfected, the performance of the Ashura will be developed to ultimate. Even the fastest ship in the world can only eat dust behind the Ashura. Bai Han didn't want any surprises in this matter. As for capturing a person alive to form the power source Bai Han, will he feel guilty? If this person is an ordinary person, Bai Han will indeed feel guilty about this. But, can Enel be an ordinary person? Because of his childhood experience, after getting the thunder fruit, Enel directly destroyed the entire Burqa. Even if there is an excuse here, it can barely take the bait with revenge. However, because of his own failure, he was knocked down from the altar by Luffy. Get ready to destroy Sky Island as you go. That's Nima's anti-social personality. Bai Han will not feel guilty about imprisoning such a person in the power room of the Ashura. Anyway, let such a scumbag make some contributions to this world. However, after Bai Han said this, McKinley's face suddenly revealed a look of horror. Not only McKinley, but also the soldiers of Bai Bailey's army in the back, and even the residents watching carefully, all of them were terrified. The next moment, these people fled in all directions immediately. Run! God's punishment is coming. That Qinghai man violated a taboo. Run! I don't want to die. Wife, take the child and run away. If you don't run away, it will be too late. God is going to be angry. These Qinghai people, why do they always do this kind of thing? But in just a short moment, the whole street was deserted. This scene directly stunned Nami and Robin. They had no idea what was going on. God, what is God's punishment? Is there really a God on this Sky Island? Nami asked in surprise. However, Robin couldn't give an answer, but said uncertainly, according to the current situation, there should be so-called gods, but if the other party doesn't have a powerful force called ninjutsu like our captain, then it must be demon fruit power. After all, on some relatively backward islands, demon fruit power does exist and is called a god by the locals. This is also the information she has obtained from drifting in the sea for so many years. Is that so? Is that God strong? Nami suddenly panicked. After all, it is called the existence of God. Being able to make the villagers so taboo just by mentioning a word proves that the opponent's strength must not be easy. However, before she finished speaking, she felt a little strange. Wait, there seems to be a sudden restlessness in the air. Is it like a thunderstorm? Nami said in shock. How can the climate of Sky Island be so outrageous? But aren't they already at an altitude of 10,000 meters? Where does the thunderstorm weather come from here? She suddenly raised her head and looked into the sky, only to see a piece of blue light appearing in the sky without knowing when. Before Nami could react, blue light flooded the whole world in an instant. The terrifying power of thunder made it impossible for Nami to even dodge. Thunder fruit is definitely a terrifying Logia devil fruit, and its effect is not inferior to Admiral's devil fruit. The speed is comparable to sparkling fruit, and the attack power is enough to compete with lava fruit. Coupled with the control effect brought by the terrifying paralysis ability brought by thunder. This is simply absorbing all the advantages of Marine 3 Admiral's devil fruit. Combine that with Enel's insanely big observation hockey. Enel is definitely enough to take on Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral. If the distance between the two sides is far enough, even facing naval headquarters alternate admiral may not be without a battle experience. It's just that Luffy's protagonist Halo is too strong. Saying that he is immune to thunder is really directly immune to all attributes of thunder. Even the terrifying high temperature brought by the thunder was immune to it. So much so that Enel's strength was directly reduced to a silly dog. If there were no accidents, not to mention Nami, even Robin would be cut into coke by this terrifying blow. Although the constitution of the two may not necessarily lead to death. But it is certain that he will be seriously injured by this thunderbolt. However, with Bai Han standing here, how could the two of them be injured? After saying that sentence, Bai Han decisively activated observation haki. How could he not be able to react to the thunder that fell on his head? Even his observation haki has caught the direction from which Enel's attack is coming. Just wait for this. After Dao lighting is solved, he can go to capture Enel. Wind-style sun brother. Bai Han took a deep breath, and then instantly protruded a huge wind cluster with a diameter of 10 meters and compressed to ultimate. Mangekyo Sharingan also appeared in his eye sockets at some point. It is precisely for this reason that this trick is so huge. As we all know, Hokage is a Gonkrai in the world. Facing the attack from thunder at this moment, it is natural to choose wind-style ninjutsu to restrain the opponent. Among the wind-style ninjutsu that Bai Han knows, it is 5th Keisuke Shimura Danzo's forte, and wind-style vacuum Dayama is the most powerful. In just an instant, the whirling terrifying wind mass pushed back the thunder released by Enel forcefully. Finally, it exploded in midair and turned into a piece of blue light, illuminating the entire earth. This Li Nuohao scene stunned the surrounding residents of Sky Island lying in every corner. They never thought that this person from Qinghai would be so powerful. Even the divine punishment from the gods was easily accepted. Moreover, looking at the other party's appearance, it seems that he has not used all his strength, and he seems to be able to do a job with ease. Is this person a god from Qinghai? Is he going to challenge that existence? Hey, I hope he can win. As long as we are alive, we will be shrouded in the shadow of death. No matter how bad it is, it shouldn't be worse than it is now, right? Many people even had hope in their hearts. After all, every year, a large number of civilians die under the punishment of God because they accidentally triggered the taboo. Among them are their family members and friends. They naturally don't want such a cruel God to live on top of their heads. As for the women who seemed to be envoys of the gods who were suspected to be from Qinghai, they even took the initiative to apologize to them. It should not be some unreasonable god village. On the other side, Bai Han, who had dealt with the thunder above his head, also glanced at Nami. Could it be that Nami is really the legendary Uranus? Such a keen climate perception is already comparable to observation haki. If Nami's body reaction can be faster, he can even deal with the thunder above his head. The two of you follow my direction, and the 4 priests of that god will be handed over to you to deal with. It is a test for you. I will go meet this so-called god for a while. After Bai Han gave an order, he suddenly used his strength to leap into the sky. The next moment, accompanied by a violent sonic boom, Bai Han instantly disappeared in place, and was swept away into the distance. At the same time, Enel, who was in the temple, sensed Bai Han who was rapidly approaching him. There was a bit of interest in the eyes that were originally interested. Oh, it's actually a Qinghai native with good strength, which is interesting. Enel, who was lying lazily on his side, straightened up from his throne. The opponent was actually able to block the power of divine punishment that he unleashed casually, and already had the qualification to meet the gods. Therefore, he gave the other party the machine tower to see his true face. Otherwise, under the continuous bombardment, the other party will be like those Qinghai people before, turning into a lifeless coke. Yeah, ha ha ha. I hope I can exercise my muscles and bones. I haven't met an opponent who can fight for a long time. Enel stood up and moved his body joints. He has already begun to look forward to the next battle. If the other party makes him feel satisfied, maybe he will show mercy, forgive the other party's offense, and let the other party become his priest. Of course, if this battle makes him feel dissatisfied, then the other party will be turned into a coke by his ruthless electric shock. Soon, a pitch-black dot appeared in the distance within Enel's line of sight. Enel clenched the golden stick in his hand, raised the corners of his mouth, and said with a big smile, "Yeah ha ha ha, Come on, let me shine like a candle in front of the god. Before the Baihan people flew over, they heard Enel's pretend speech. This made the corners of his mouth twitch. I have to say that Enel's suffocation value is at least above 8,000. However, Baihan's goal is not to kill or defeat Enel, but to capture. So, naturally he would not be polite to Enel. Tsukuyomi. When the distance between the two sides is close to 1,000 meters. Baihan activated the pupil technique in his right eye without hesitation, pulling Enel into the Tsukuyomi space. Baihan was not relieved until it was confirmed that Enel was pulled into the Tsukuyomi space. No way, the speed of Thunder Fruit is too heaven-defying. In this world, only Kizaru, who is the fastest in the pirate world, has the possibility to catch up with Enel. Moreover, there must be a chance to hunt down Enel after his physical strength is exhausted. If he really accidentally scares Enel away, and he wants to capture Enel, it will be a dream. And this will make his Ashura less than perfect. However, now that Enel has been pulled into the Tsukuyomi space, there is nothing to fear. Everything in Tsukuyomi's space will be under his control, and Enel can't make any waves here. And he also had time to take a good look at this legendary, powerful Logia Devil Fruit that is almost a combination of Devil Fruit possessed by Marine 3 Admiral. Even if Enel doesn't know armament hockey, he doesn't have much combat experience. However, with the Thunder Fruit alone and the naturally powerful observation hockey, Enel is strong enough to take on Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral. If you can keep the distance, kiting Marine Backup Admiral will not be a problem. After all, Thunder Fruit's attack range is really too far. Moreover, Thunder's speed is really too fast. Even Baihan must turn on observation hockey in advance for prediction. Otherwise, he would have no way to dodge Thunder's attack. On the other side, Enel just felt his spirit go into a trance for a while, and then everything returned to normal. He had no idea what was going on. Yahahaha, ants from Qinghai, show your insignificant candlelight in front of the god. Enel opened his arms, looked down at Baihan and laughed. Now that Enel has entered the illusion space, naturally, Baihan would not be polite to Enel. He directly activated the body flicker technique and came to Enel's side, then raised his leg and swept across. Baihan's heavy whip leg was covered with a layer of jet black armament hockey. Even the Logia Demon Fruit power will hit hard as well. I want Enel to show his true strength. It is not an easy task to let Enel see the gap between the two sides without forcing. After all, Enel is so proud that he even calls himself a god on high. Yahahaha, under the power of this god. Tremble. There was a malicious smile on the corner of Enel's mouth, as if he had already seen the shocked eyes of the mortals in front of him. This is also the rare fun he has had in these years. After all, seed, the body of a god is completely unimaginable for mortals. However, the next moment Enel's whole body was instantly bent, and the severe pain almost made his eyes pop out. This leg made Annie Lu feel as if his internal organs were smashed. Diao Shin's stomach was even more uncomfortable with the acid water tumbling. PFF'd. This. How is this possible? Enel spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Baihan in shock. What shocked him even more was that the opponent's leg didn't knock him out at all. Even after receiving such a heavy blow, he still stayed where he was. In this scene, a figure hidden in the high-altitude white cloud dropped his jaw in shock. He heard Enel. Among the white cloud, an old white-beard man in armor was riding a pink Madara horse, his eyes widened in shock at the picture below. He is the former god of Sky Island, Ganfer. Although he loves his people very much, but because he can't beat Enel, he can only hide in the dark helplessly. But he is always looking for opportunities to defeat Enel. At this moment, when he saw someone coming to trouble Enel, he rushed over immediately. It's just that he didn't expect that what he saw would be the scene of Enel being shot. One must know that Enel is really like a legendary god, possessing a body condensed by thunder. His attacks can't cause the slightest damage to Enel at all. What is the background of this Qinghai man? Is he also a legendary god? Ganfer muttered to himself in his heart. At the same time, he was more careful to hide his tracks. However, he didn't know that he was actually pulled into the Tsukuyomi space by Baihan at this moment. Everything you see at this moment is just an illusion. In fact, his main body is now riding with his pink Madara, flying in midair in a daze. Is this difficult? As long as you can control your own power, this kind of thing can be done easily. Baihan, who succeeded in one blow, slowly withdrew his leg and said with a blank expression. The current Enel just made him feel bored for a while. Only the passionate battle can make him really excited. Enel wanted to say something, but his gang saw Baihan's leg about to lift up again. This made him quickly disappear into a thunderbolt. When it appeared again, it was several meters away. And that mortal's legs with the gale also suddenly passed the position where he was before. The strong wind brought by this leg directly pierced through the wall of the temple on the side, making Enel's scalp tingle when he saw it. Nima, why does he feel that this leg is heavier than before? If he got hit by this leg, he might lie on the ground and be unable to get up for a long time. And this also made his expression a bit dignified, and also put away a bit of contemptuous mentality. Mortal, although I don't know what method you used to attack me, but you have to stop here. Under the power of the god's thunder, all your hard work and pride will be turned into. Enel was about to say something, but Baihan appeared behind him in an instant. At the same time, Armament Hockey's fist was attached, and it hit Enel hard on the back of the head. However, in front of Enel, who has activated the Heart Compendium, that is, Observation Hockey, such an attack cannot attack Enel yet. After all, Enel has more than mastered Observation Hockey. At the same time, he also mastered the Thunder Fruit, whose speed is comparable to Kizaru's Sparkling Fruit. And this is where Thunder Fruit is heaven-defying with Observation Hockey. Like in the original plot, Enel really lost to the plot killer. Otherwise, with Enel's combination of Logia Devil Fruit and Observation Hockey, it is impossible to lose to Luffy. You, a lowly mortal, managed to anger this god. Enel roared angrily, and the golden stick in his hand suddenly hit the Thunder Taiko behind him. Boom! The dull drum sounded suddenly. The next moment, there was the sound of thunder and screaming. 30 million volts Thunderbird, accompanied by Enel's low growl. One of the taiko drums behind him suddenly turned into a phoenix-shaped thunder beast, flying towards Baihan at lightning speed. The terrifying speed was almost too fast for people to react. However, Baihan has Observation Hockey after all. As early as the moment Enel attacked and raised his hand, he had predicted this move. However, Baihan didn't intend to dodge, he wanted to test how strong the power of thunder is. At the same time, try to force out Enel's full strength as much as possible. Thunder Fruit is known as the Logia Devil Fruit with the world's top destructive power. The attack power is not inferior to Akainu's Lava Fruit. Coupled with the terrifying speed characteristic, and the paralyzing effect of Thunderbolt. This is definitely a more comprehensive Devil Fruit than Lava Fruit. If Enel can rise to the same level as Akainu, then with the power of Thunder Fruit, Enel might even surpass Akainu in combat power, although Enel still can't reach that kind of strength. However, Baihan is also no Akainu, and without Susanoo, Enel would be a good whetstone. Facing Enel, this has already used a move of real strength. Baihan didn't underestimate the opponent either, and directly used his current strongest fire style ninjutsu. Fire style Huge Fire Extinction. Suddenly, a huge great fireball, like a meteorite, with a diameter of more than 30 meters, bombarded towards the Thunderbird that was rushing towards it. Naturally, this is not an ordinary fire extinction, but a fire extinction enhanced by Mangekyo Sharingan. It's just that, being in the Tsukuyomi space at the moment, everything is just an illusion. Baihan's enhancement is nothing more than simulating the amplification effect to expand the power of this move. The Thunderbird, which was 10 meters long, looked a little pitiful in front of this meteorite-like crimson fireball. This scene shocked even Enel. The opponent can actually spit out such a huge fire. Yan, could it be said that the other party is also a god? That being said, everything seems to be in the past. Only gods can harm gods. No wonder this god from Qinghai beat him so painfully. At the same time, Ganfer, who was watching the battle in the sky, was also frightened. That existence from Qinghai is indeed a god. The opponent should be a Vulcan. This huge great fireball spewed out as the best proof. Unexpectedly, even Enel's powerful attack method was taken over by the opponent, and he even fell into a huge disadvantage. Could it be that Enel will be knocked off the altar by this foreign god today? Thinking of this, Ganfer couldn't help showing a bit of anticipation in his heart. Although I don't know the purpose of this foreign god coming here, and what kind of character he has. However, as long as the other party can stop killing people like Enel, that's enough. Yahahaha, if I can accept a god to be my envoy, it must be a very pleasant experience. Seeing that the Thunderbird couldn't resist the attack, Enel beat the other two taiko drums behind him one after another. 30 million volts Thunder Beast. 60 million volts Brontosaurus. Boom, boom. There were two muffled sounds in succession. One of the thunder drums turned into a giant wolf 7 or 8 meters high. And the other thunder taiko turned into a giant dragon tens of meters long. A wolf and a dragon rushed towards Bai Han at the same time, and the fire that spewed out was extinguished, and the scene was extremely shocking. I believe that after he uses his big moves one after another, the scene will show a scene of destruction. However, the facts were beyond Enel's expectation. The three powerful attacks he released could barely compete with the fireball released by the Qinghai god. The huge impact brought by that meteorite-like fireball even pushed back the three thunder beasts and approached him. The heavy pressure even made him feel a little suffocated. How is this possible? Sweat dripped down Enel's forehead. He found that he seemed to have seriously underestimated the strength of this Qinghai god. The strength of the opponent is probably no less than him. If you continue to play like this, I'm afraid the loser will become him. At the same time, Ganfer, who was peeping from the sky, was also filled with horror. It was the first time he saw someone could push Enel to this point. This kind of strength is probably not weaker than that Roger from Qinghai back then. If Enel had no other means, he might be crushed by this fireball. Thinking of this, Ganfer's old heart beat wildly. On the other side, seeing the three ultralisks about to be pushed back, Enel's mood was not so relaxed. Seeing that the three thunder beasts couldn't block this blow, they even had a tendency to be pushed back. His heart also gradually became solemn. Of course, he didn't panic much. After all, he still has his own whole cards that he hasn't used. Once his whole cards are used, his strength will be multiplied several times, or even tens of times. It is definitely not in the same realm as the current combat power. What's more, the current situation is not without means for him to deal with it. Rice wife. Enel's left hand melted, disappeared for a thunder. Then it slammed heavily on the huge great fireball ejected by Bai Han. Boom. In an instant, the sky and the earth seemed to be illuminated by thunder and turned into a deep blue. This lightning bolt seemed to be a torch in the gunpowder, instantly detonating the three thunder beasts, and at the same time extinguishing Bai Han's mighty fire. In the next moment, two kinds of light, blue and red, filled the whole world directly. At the same time, the huge mushroom cloud of the sun blooms again. All the buildings and trees within 20 kilometers of Fangyuan were completely wiped out at this moment. Even the huge island under the feet, which was once washed up by the rising sea current, was blown out of a huge hole. Through the gaps in the clouds, you can even see the sea below. It is conceivable how terrifying the power of this blow is. If you were in Qinghai at this moment, there must have been gurgling magma in the bottom of the pit. Although all this happened in the world of Tsukuyomi. But if it is placed in the outside world, it will definitely show the same effect. And Ganfort, who was hiding in the air, was also directly blown away by this terrifying impact, flying thousands of meters away. Obviously his strength is not too weak. But in the aftermath of this explosion, there is still no resistance. They could only let the shock wave of the explosion take them rolling. Is this the strength of the god level? It's as powerful as a monster. Ganfer was terrified. Compared to these two monsters, what kind of god is he? His strength is probably even stronger than Enel's four priests. After finally stabilizing his figure, Ganfer hurriedly looked down expectantly. Has Enel been dealt with? However, to his disappointment, Enel was entangled in thunder, suspended in midair intact, and seemed not to have received any damage at all. Such terrifying damage still has no effect on Enel. Ganfort despaired. Are these gods so difficult to deal with? If he is near the center of the explosion, there are definitely not enough lives to die. However, Enel seemed to be unaffected as if nothing had happened. The opponent's body condensed by thunder is really too shameless. However, as soon as Ganfer's words fell, Enel spat out a mouthful of blood with a wow. Enel is not a monster like Marine 3 Admiral after all. At the moment of the explosion, he can use the fruit ability to escape to a safe place, and he will not use the fruit ability to reduce the attacks he receives. What he has mastered is just the most basic elemental ability of Logia Devil Fruit. Therefore, when facing this huge explosion, he chose to resist. And the consequences can be imagined. Enel was directly blown to half-life. As long as Enel has been in Qinghai for a while and knows that he is not a god, but just a relatively rare Logia demon fruit power, he will not swell to such a degree. But nothing if. Enel still suffers from being uneducated after all. Qinghai god, you are still dead after all, and this god is the final winner, yahahaha. Looking at the scorched earth with nothing in front of him, Enel laughed out loud. He could no longer catch the breath of that Qinghai man. This proved that the other party had died in that violent explosion. But this is also very normal. Even he who has a god body has suffered such serious injuries, let alone the other party. It was an interesting battle. Enel happily picked up the golden stick and prepared to leave. The temple has been destroyed like this, it is obviously impossible to live in it. He can only wait for his 4 priests to come back to repair his temple. As for now, then go and kill a few lucky ones. Gamfer in the sky was already in despair seeing this scene. I didn't expect that the Qinghai native was so powerful before, but who would have thought that the attack of the other party and Enel exploded, killing himself. It's just too dramatic. Fortunately, he thought that the myth of Enel was about to collapse. Gamfer shook his head in disappointment. It seems that the other party is not the one who can end the myth of Enel. However, just as Enel turned around, a figure quietly appeared behind Annie Lu. Your combat awareness is really pitifully weak, Enel. Unscathed Bai Han appeared next to Enel, with armament Haki's kunai attached to Enel's waist without mercy. The severe pain made Enel's eyes widen in an instant, and a loud noise came from his wide-open mouth. Even because of the severe pain, Enel's eyeballs were filled with learning in an instant, and the saliva was constantly overflowing from the corner of his mouth. The pain of being pierced in the waist is even more than the pain of the balls and giving birth. If it was a normal person who was pierced in the waist, he would immediately lose his ability to resist. When many special forces assassinate, they often adopt the method of piercing the waist, so that the enemy can make no sound at all. Enel was in such pain right now. However, after all, the people from the One Piece world, Constitution, are more perverted. Even though the waist was beaten, Enel still struggled and swung the golden stick and swept away behind him. But it's a pity that the strength and speed of this attack were not enough, and Bai Han had already prepared for it. Naturally, it is impossible to be hit by such an attack. But Bai Han didn't intend to stay any longer, but directly withdrew and retreated. His main aim of this attack was to anger Enel, force the opponent to his strongest form, and fight him. Not really trying to kill Enel here. Enel in Thor form is definitely the top existence among Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral. If Susanoo is not applied, Bai Han is actually at this level. So it's only fitting that Enel, in Thor form, be used as a whetstone to hone his fighting skills. As for Susanoo's Gundam form, it doesn't really take much practice. Susanoo took the route of breaking all laws with one force. No fine work is required at all. As for how to dodge the previous explosion, then there are too many ways to dodge. Whether it's sneaking into the ground through Earth style, or resisting the Nibo generated by the bomb through the sun, or stay away from the center of the explosion through the body flicker technique, you can easily avoid the damage of the explosion. Only an idiot like Enel would honestly stand where he was and take the damage. Of course, since everything happens in Tsukuyomi space now. Therefore, Bai Han chose the simplest evasion method, which is to directly make himself invincible. In the Tsukuyomi space, he is the god here. Whatever you want to do can be done. After all, this place is like being in a dream, but other people have also been drawn into the dream he created. Enel was attacked suddenly. Not only Enel didn't expect it. Not even Ganfort in the sky thought of it. He didn't expect that Bai Han, whom he thought to be dead, suddenly appeared behind Enel. It's a pity that the knife didn't hit Enel's heart, but fell on Enel's waist. Although this knife also inflicted severe damage on Enel, if it was stabbed in the heart, Enel would definitely die. Why are you so soft-hearted at the critical moment? Ganfort wished to replace Bai Han, and pried Enel away with one knife. But it's a pity, he knew that if he changed himself to Bai Han's position, he might be directly hacked to death by Enel Dowley as soon as he appeared. That Enel has been staring at him, trying to kill him. You have successfully angered this god, and this god wants to let you experience the taste of despair. With one hand, he pulled out the kunai who was hugging his waist. With a spurt of blood, Enel's face became even paler. This also intensified the anger in his heart. He stared at Bi-Han directly and roared loudly, 200 million volts Thor. This trick directly increased from 60 million volts to 200 million volts. Among them, the difference in voltage alone is as high as 4 times. And after Enel shouted this move, countless azure blue thunders burst out from his body. The next moment, Enel's body began to swell rapidly, and then turned into a fattened version of Enel made up of azure blue thunder. At the same time, Enel's height has also increased from the previous 2.66 meters to 17 meters. Just one slap is the size of a pickup truck, and the raging thunder is full of berserk aura, making the power of this move even more terrifying. As a means of Enel's trump card, this trick will increase Enel's all-around attributes by more than 10 times. Even though Enel looks like a fat man now, in this form, he has become faster and more flexible. However, Enel was not in a hurry to make a move, but raised his hand and waved towards the ruins of the previous temple. Lay metallurgy. Immediately, with the flash of thunder, a cloud of gold liquid on the ground flew in front of Enel. Then, it condensed into a red trident in his hand. Coupled with Enel's solemn and mighty appearance at the moment, it really looks a little like a god. At least, Gamfer in the air was completely dumbfounded. It was the first time he had seen Enel in this form. Even if Enel encountered the most powerful opponent before, it was only 6,000 volts of Brontosaurus that could solve it. Where do you need to use such a big move? It's not easy at first glance. Even with such a long distance, he still felt a burst of pain in his body. It's numb. One can imagine how terrifying the electricity contained in Enel's body is at this moment. Can this Qinghai native still win? There was a hint of intense worry in Ganfer's eyes. He felt that this battle should have ended here. With such a posture, Enel couldn't figure out how the opponent would lose. At least, if Enel faced him in this form, he would probably be killed if he was lazy and couldn't get through in one round. But at this time, Enel, who had made all the preparations, moved. Whoosh! Accompanied by the flicker of thunder, Annie Road disappeared in place in an instant. When he reappeared, he had already come behind Bi-Han, and the trident raised high in his hand was aimed at Bi-Han's back and stabbed fiercely. It seems that he also wants Bi-Han to experience the same pain as him. With such a terrifying speed, what do you use to hide? Enel had a ferocious smile on his thunder god-like face. The continuous severe pain from his waist made the anger in his heart continuously expand, and also made the cruelty in his heart more intense. However, the moment his trident was pierced, Bi-Han's figure instantly turned into a wooden stake. Enel's blow directly hit the wooden stake, and the crackling thunder directly split the wooden stake into a piece of coke, and finally turned into ashes and disappeared. It's such a strange method again. No matter how much you try to escape, you will never be able to avoid being killed by the god. Our current strength gap is too great. Enel didn't feel alarmed by Bi-Han's disappearance. In his observation hockey perception, Bi-Han who turned into a wooden stake is appearing on his right hand at this moment. Enel swung the trident violently and swept towards Bi-Han's position. However, just when this blow was about to fall on Bi-Han, a long knife was cut out instantly, blocking the front of the trident. Even the trident that has become extremely hard because of the fruit ability. At this moment, a deep mark was still cut out. If it weren't for the fact that this trident became thick enough to meet Enel's needs after becoming Thor. This knife probably cut the entire trident together with Enel into 2 sections. The heavy force coming from his hands told Bi-Han that he had met a good opponent. But Enel felt the strength from the trident, but his face turned livid. He didn't expect that after using the strongest hole card, he still lost to Bi-Han in terms of strength. This Nima is somewhat outrageous. Chapter 91. The violent collision through the long knife made Bi-Han's blood boil uncontrollably. The warlike blood of the Uchiha clan that was dormant in the body was also fully activated. Bi-Han even saw a great change in Shendu. Come on, dance to your heart's content. God Enel, use your strength to please me. As soon as the words fell, Baihan appeared beside Enel, and slashed down fiercely with a knife. Under Armament Hockey's package. Although the third-generation Ghost Toru is only equivalent to the property of Ryo Kue Dao 50 works. However, the sharpness and hardness at this moment are no less than the 21 work of the big fast knife. In the fierce fight with Enel, he still remained intact. Unless the trident in Enel's hand is a weapon of the supreme sword level, there is no need to worry about the blade breaking. However, Enel, who has already fully activated observation Haki, naturally cannot fail to respond. Thorn. With the flash of thunder, Enel waved the trident and swept directly towards the blade above his head. Violent sparks and electric arcs shot out from the place where the trident collided with third-generation Gush. Enel was also directly swept away by this force. "Are you looking down on me?" Enel's eyes were bloodshot when he got up from the ruins, and the huge Thor's body disappeared instantly at a speed that didn't fit his body shape. When it appeared again, Enel had already come to Baihan's side, and the two sides turned into two afterimages and collided fiercely. The aftermath of the battle alone ravaged the surrounding land. If they want to get close to the two people who are fighting at this moment, they must at least be at the naval headquarters rear admiral level. Ganfer in the sky of 210 couldn't close his shocked mouth. Horrible. The strength of this strong man from Qingdao is really terrifying. Obviously Enel is the existence that claims to be a god, and its appearance is no different from Thor. However, the battle situation at this moment made him feel that the strong man from Qinghai was the god. And Enel is the challenger to please the gods. After all, the strong man from Qinghai was obviously enjoying the battle. Enel, on the other hand, seemed a little out of breath because his attacks were constantly being diffused. A discerning person can tell at a glance how strong the two parties are. Enel's positive strength is obviously far inferior to that strong man from Qinghai. However, Enel's most powerful ability is his speed and long-range attack methods. If you let him react, what should you do? Qinghai is God. Ganfer touched the pink Pegasus with some fur under his body, and murmured. Once Enel shows his real advantage, then the battle will probably undergo a new change. After all, Enel is currently using his own shortcomings to attack the opponent's advantages. Of course, it is also possible that his prediction was wrong. Perhaps this is also the advantage of the strong man from Qinghai. In just a few moments, Baihan and Enel fought hundreds of rounds. In such a high-intensity battle, not to mention Enel who has never practiced physical skills, even Baihan was slightly panting. After all, the confrontation between the two is the collision of the strongest force. Both sides seek to overwhelm the other in strength and skill. Therefore, most of the time, Baihan and Enel were wrestling fiercely, consuming at least twice as much stamina as usual. Yeah ha ha ha, the ants from Qinghai, you are very good. This god recognizes your strength. However, the game is over here. This god is going to end your life. Enel is clearly coming to terms with it, too. The usual crushing battles in the past made him forget what is his advantage. In the face of such a powerful opponent, if he still fights with means that he is not good at, the result will definitely not be what he wants. Even if he is as proud as him, he has to admit how powerful this Qinghai native is. That's right, let's enter the second stage of the battle. Baihan licked his lips and said with burning eyes. The battle in the second stage is nothing more than a ninjutsu confrontation. Enel wants to kite him and consume him with his strong movement speed and spell turret ability. With this style of play, Enel will have a fight with Naval Headquarters Alternate Admiral. However, this is just in line with his appetite. Just now, his template fusion progress has been pushed to 30%. Not only has the total amount of chakra been greatly improved, but also the Uchiha combat experience at this stage has been mastered. At this stage of Uchiha Madara, Senju Tobarama has created the heaven-defying ninjutsu shadow clone technique. And he also successfully learned this ninjutsu from Uchiha Madara's combat experience. Thinking of this, Baihan glanced at his current template. Host. Baihan. Fusion template. Uchiha Madara Youth Madara form. Current fusion progress. 30% Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can be activated at the highest. After the fusion progress reaches 100%, the Madara form will be opened, and the highest wood style, Rinnegan, and infinite chakra can be obtained. Boundary of blood inheritance. Indra bloodline not yet activated. Sharingan Mangekyo, current pupil power remaining 69.3%. Chakra total. Peak cage level. Ninja tools. Steel wire X5747, Shuriken. Ninjutsu. Shadow clone technique grade B, Shuriken shadow clone technique grade A. A total of 1157 kinds of ninjutsu. Today, he already has the peak cage level chakra. Such a chakra may not be anything compared to a chakra monster like Naruto. It is even worse than One Tail, which has the least chakra among the tail beasts. However, for many ordinary people without blood, this is the peak amount of chakra they can achieve. However, the current Bai-Han has not yet reached his peak chakra. At its peak, Madara, chakra is not as good as 9 tails. But at least it is comparable to tail beasts like 7 tails and 8 tails. And here is the normal form of Madara Lord. After becoming 10 tails Jinchuriki, Bai-Han's chakra will be endless, and there is no need to think about chakra at all. To put it another way, that is, Yuhan at that stage has no blue bars. And at this moment, Enel has started his own bomb show. Thunder God 3 Thunderbirds. Enel waved his hand, and the giant Thunderbird, which was composed of 3 Thunderbirds and was 50 meters long, immediately rushed towards Bai-Han. The power of every Thunderbird here is not inferior to the power of the previous 60 million volt Brontosaurus. Now that all 3 are out together, I am afraid that even Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral will be on the verge of a formidable enemy. Ganfer, who was thousands of meters away in the sky, even burst his hair directly because of this move, and swelled like a hedgehog. Even with such a long distance, the static electricity generated by this move still had a considerable impact on him. Hey, Enel still has this move. If he uses it on me. Ganfer couldn't help but sweat dripping down his forehead. If it is really used on him, he has no chance of escape at all. No, he doesn't deserve Enel's trick at all. Ganfer couldn't help thinking bitterly. He's not even qualified to make Enel use Thor form. Next, we can only look at the performance of that strong Qinghai man. If this Qinghai powerhouse can only use the powerful moves of the fireball before, he will definitely not be able to threaten Enel in long-range attacks. And the final result of this was that the strong man from Qinghai was consumed to death by Enel. Although I don't know what your purpose is, but you must win. Ganfer prayed inwardly. Even if he has such a possibility, I am afraid it is very small. After all, no one in this world can use such a comprehensive tool. A real hexagonal warrior is almost impossible to appear in high-end rounds, unless it is the kind of real chosen one. But at this moment, facing Enel's powerful move, Bai-Han didn't feel the slightest fluctuation in his heart. Finally something interesting. But it's not enough. Bai-Han slowly put away the blade in his hand, and at the same time crossed his hands in front of him to form a minister. Shadow clone technique. Bang 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 bang. 4 streaks of white smoke exploded, and 4, Bai-Han, appeared beside Bai-Han's body. Even in observation hockey's perception, these 4, Bai-Han, are as real as the main body. Enel was also obviously taken aback, but then burst out laughing. Yeah, ha ha ha, you don't think that by conjuring 4 of yourself, you can compete with the god who is a god. From his point of view, Bai-Han is just fighting in the last corner. When he really showed his divine power, all resistance was unnecessary. However, Bai-Han did not respond to Enel's sarcasm. Instead, seal with the 4 clones at the same time. Fire style huge fire extinction. Wind style great breakthrough. By 4 inches. The main body in the center used Huo Huo Mimi, and the 4 surrounding shadow clones used great breakthrough. Behind the meteorite-like fireball in the center, 4 tornadoes hit the rear heavily. Under the impetus of the 4 tornadoes, the meteorite-like fireball was instantly blessed with the power of rotation, and its power was more than quadrupled. It's almost like the difference between a normal artillery shell and an armor-piercing shell. Moreover, under the blessing of the wind element chakra, the volume of the extinguished fire quickly expanded to a full 100 meters. The power of this move is absolutely no less than any S-rank ninjutsu. It is even enough to cause huge damage to one side of the battlefield. Except for the super cage level existences like 8 tails and 9 tails, the power of the other 7-tailed beast bombs headed by them is probably no more than that. In fact, if it weren't for being in the Tsukuyomi space at the moment. Even Bai Han didn't dare to try this trick so boldly. After all, once this trick is played off, it is basically tantamount to being stuck in the face by the tailed beast bomb. Even if Susanoo is turned on at that time, Bai Han will probably be hit hard. But in the Tsukuyomi space, there are not so many worries. At this moment, everything around is illusion, so it's fine if you play it off because you can't nullify the damage. But fortunately, Bai Han was lucky and successfully completed this combined ninjutsu once. The huge fireball engulfed the three Thunderbirds in an instant. And he slammed into Enel with a horizontal push all the way. Even Enel's face changed instantly due to the terrifying power. In the thousandth of a second that the body just reacted, it instantly turned into lightning and disappeared in place. Even if no matter how confident Nailu was in himself at the moment, he didn't dare to accept this move. Otherwise, even if he has a divine body, it will be absolutely useless. At the same time, Ganford, who was at an altitude of several thousand meters, pulled the rein with a drastic expression after seeing this fireball like a small sun, and shouted, "Pierre! Run!" 1. The pink Madara under her body didn't need his reminder at all, and she fluttered her wings and flew high at the first time. With the fastest speed in his life, he flew towards the distance. Originated from the beast's intuition, it is more aware of the horror of this move than Ganford behind it. After going through 3 wind-style great breakthroughs and the ability increase of the left eye Mangekyo Sharingan, the destructive power of this move has already crossed the Admiral level threshold. Even if they are both at the Admiral level, they must take this move seriously. The only pity is that the front swing of this move is a bit long, and it is only suitable for use when both sides are charging. Otherwise, no Admiral level powerhouse would just stand there and wait for Bai Han to release ninjutsu. At this moment, a huge fireball landed on the ground. The world seems to have lost its voice at this moment, and can only see a group of dazzling sun rising slowly on the ground. Gamfer, who was in midair, was already Enel, only feeling that the world seemed to be full, and his actions seemed to be caught in a slow-motion playback. But in the next moment, everything was back to normal, and the shock of terror swept across in an instant. Boom! The terrifying shock wave sent the two of them flying in an instant. Even if it is as strong as Enel, under the impact of this air wave, it can only resist like a rag doll. Even Bai Han himself was taken aback by the power of this move. Fortunately, this is in the Tsukuyomi space. Otherwise, I'm afraid even he needs to activate the third stage Susanoo to withstand the impact of the explosion. As this combined ninjutsu, it's really too strong. Bai Han took a deep breath, looked at the bloody mushroom cloud rising in the distance, and murmured. At this moment, he even had the feeling that he saw a nuclear bomb explode. Although this may only be regarded as the nuclear bomb with the smallest equivalent, it can only be compared with the level of the little boy. But that is also the most powerful weapon in human history, like a nuclear bomb. Once in the center of the explosion, I am afraid that only the defensive monsters Kaido and Big Mom can resist it unscathed. Of course, Bai Han is also very clear about the reason why this combination of ninjutsu is so powerful. To a greater extent, it is because of the augmentation ability of his left eye Mangekyo Sharingan. Otherwise, even if it is combined ninjutsu, it will definitely not be so heaven-defying. The exploding crimson mushroom cloud not only shocked Bai Han. At the same time, Enel, who was directly blasted thousands of meters away by the shock wave, was deeply shocked. At this moment, he has long since lost his previous might. Even one of the arms after becoming Thor was blown off, and there were many cracks on the blue body. A lot of electric arcs are constantly lacing out from it, dyeing the surrounding messy ground a bit black. It wasn't Enel's intention to show off his Kamui. It was because he was hurt by the previous shock wave. He was actually unable to maintain his Thor body. At this moment, if he wants to continue to forcibly maintain the body of Thor, he will spend several times more physical strength than before. What kind of monster are you? Enel clenched his teeth, and his tone carried a bit of imperceptible fear. Fortunately, he reacted in time before and dodged this attack. If he followed his previous confidence in his divine body, he probably wouldn't be able to dodge this attack at all. And the consequences of that, Enel seemed to have foreseen it. Even if he could survive such an attack, it would definitely be a serious injury. At the same time, Ganfer, who was directly sent flying 10,000 meters away in midair, felt even more horrified. Because, from his current position, he could just clearly see the damage caused by that blow. I saw a huge pothole with a diameter of more than 30 kilometers directly on the ground. Almost half of Apayado, that is, the land that was washed up by the rising sea current, was wiped out by this blow. At the same time, at the very center of this huge hole, there is another big hole with a diameter of 5 kilometers. The entrance of the cave leads directly to Qinghai below, so stand at this position. You can even see the huge ocean below. This means that this blow directly penetrates the entire sea of clouds. Hiss. I'm afraid that even Luo Jia back then wasn't so powerful. What is the background of this young man from Qinghai? Gamfer made an evaluation of the original Roger and Bai Han, and couldn't help but feel horrified. Moreover, now he is not sure whether this is the all-out attack of the strong man from Qinghai. After all, the other party can come up with something beyond his imagination every time. With the strength shown by the other party at this moment, Enel might have to run away in embarrassment. However, to Ganfer's surprise, Bai Han's blow not only did not make Enel flinch, but made him more confident. Yeah, ha ha ha, as the god of thunder, speed is the biggest advantage of this god. Your attack can't hit this god, but this god's attack can hit you. This god also wants to thank you, it is you who made this god find the direction to become stronger. So, this god bestows death on you. Thunder God 5 Thunder Dragons. The smile on Enel's face instantly turned somber. While he was raising his hand and waving, 5 thunder dragons with a length of hundreds of meters were released from his palm. Then it bombarded towards Bai Han mightily. It's just that, because Bai Han's combined ninjutsu was the first, this is also a thrilling move, so it doesn't seem so shocking. At least, Ganfer felt that the shock brought to him by this move was far less than that of the previous fireball. Okay, let this battle end here. Bai Han, who has already harvested combined ninjutsu, no longer wants to continue. On the one hand, the degree of fusion that Enel can provide him is running out, and it is a waste of time to continue. On the other hand, Enel's attacks bored him. To come and go is to let thunder form the animals, and then attack. Compared with the previous Thunderbird, this trick only has slightly more compressed energy. In terms of the nature of the attack, there has not been much change. Under the puzzled eyes of Enel and Ganfort, White Toilet snapped his fingers. Clatter. In an instant, the whole world fell into a dead silence. Whether it was Enel, Ganfer, or the 5 menacing Brontosaurus, they were all suspended at this moment. In the space of Tsukuyomi, Bai Han is the supreme god who controls everything. At the same time, Bai Han's figure also slowly disappeared, returning to the use of the body in the real world. Everything around is still the same as before. There are no traces of Bai Han fighting Enel. Even, Enel just stood quietly on the ground carrying the golden rod, and the Mangekyo Sharingan was slowly spinning in his eyes. As early as the moment Enel and Bai Han looked at each other, he had actually lost. As far as opponents are concerned, you are definitely the most comfortable one among all the opponents I have faced so far. Looking at Enel in front of him, Bai Han sighed. Whether it is in the collision of power or on the wave, Enel makes him feel good. Although all this is only done within the Tsukuyomi space. Let's go. Bai Han hooked his fingers. Next, Enel will be sentenced to life imprisonment in the power room of the Ashura. Also, complete the final piece of the puzzle for the Ashura's power. After doing all this, Bai Han glanced at Ganfer who was lurking on the cloud. Ganfer and his ugly batch of horses also have Mangekyo Sharingan in their eyes. Ganfort was purely accidentally injured. With Ganfer's strength, it is simply not enough to be put in the eyes of Bai Han. Naturally, there is no need to use Tsukuyomi against the opponent. Mainly when Tsukuyomi was activated, Ganfer happened to meet his eyes. Therefore, Ganfer was pulled into the Tsukuyomi space together, so it can only be said that Ganfer was more unlucky. Without embarrassing Ganfer too much, Bai Han released the control of Ganfer. As the god of Sky Island, the other party's performance in the original plot is quite good. At least, the existence of the other party can also block some Qinghai people who broke in by mistake for Sky Island, and the matter of the province's Golden Town will be exposed. And Ganfer, who escaped from the illusion, and his ugly horses lost their strength and fell down. In fact, this is also very normal. After all, everything that happens in the world of Tsukuyomi is just a moment. Once Tsukuyomi is released, it is equivalent to loading the brain with countless information in an instant. If the brain's CPU is weak, it may even be directly used up. However, Bai-Han did not take care of Ganfor anymore. As far as the constitution of One Piece world is concerned, this height is still not an accident. Boom! With a loud noise, Ganfor fell to the ground hard. However, with the buffer of the branches, he and his mount Pierre were thrown to pieces. However, nothing too big of a problem. Not even a broken body. It can only be said that people in this world of pirates, constitution is really awesome. What's wrong with me? Rubbing his still aching head, Ganfor sat up from the big pit on the ground. He remembered seeing Enel, the god of thunder, unleash 5 Brontosaurus. However, the strong man from Qinghai snapped his fingers, and he didn't know anything after that. By the time he woke up, he had already hit the ground heavily. However, the moment he woke up, he began to look for his partner. Pierre, are you all right? If something happens to Pierre who has been with him for decades. Ganfor didn't know if he could survive the bad news. After all, Pierre has always been with him and spent countless days and nights with him during the years when Enel was kicked out of his position. Fortunately, although Pierre was lying on the ground weakly, he was fine. Pierre, who is a zone demon fruit power, actually recovers a little faster than Ganfor. Pierre yelled with doubts, apparently not realizing what happened. However, there is still a deep sense of fear in its eyes, and even feces and urine are flying around under its body. Obviously, the sense of crisis in Tsukuyomi's space before brought it a great sense of stimulation, making it even somewhat uncontrolled incontinence. This scene instead made Ganfor sure that what happened before was true. After all, Pierre's reaction speaks for itself. Hiss, the Qinghai strongman who can beat Enel to that extent. It's hard to imagine what kind of strength that is, but why is there no trace of destruction around it? Ganfor was confused. In the scene he saw before, the place where they are now has been completely destroyed. The vegetation on the entire Holy Island was directly destroyed by the shock wave, and even the central area was blown out a big hole enough to see Qinghai below. But now, looking at the lush jungle all around, Ganfor fell into deep confusion. What happened? Could it be that because I wanted to beat Enel so much, I suffered from Alzheimer's and began to make up memories? Can Pierre it? On the occasion of Ganfor's vision, Bai-Han has brought Enel to the place where Nami and Robin are fighting. The strength of the 4 priests of Sky Island is actually quite good. Those who have mastered observation hockey have at least reached the level of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. This kind of strength is completely qualified as a test for Nami and Robin. However, the battle is now coming to an end. Under the endless ninjutsu bombardment, Nami's opponents, the Sora Guard Chief and the Guardian of the Forest, even with observation hockey, still fell under a great fireball technique. After all, not everyone can ignore the great fireball technique with a diameter of several meters. Just the range impact after the ninjutsu exploded was enough to make the 2 priests burned out. As for the battle on Robin's side, it was even more direct and rough. The arm of flower fruit blocks the enemy instantly. Then came Robin's solo show. Under absolute control, the 2 priests didn't even have a chance to escape. Flower fruit's ability to directly grow handwriting on the enemy regardless of distance, unless it is facing a strong person whose strength is far superior to itself, otherwise it is an unsolvable existence. Bai-Han had just arrived in less than 3 minutes, and the 2 had already resolved their confrontation. Ah, it is so strong, but there is no bounty, what a loss. Nami didn't miss the chance to touch the corpse, and search the 2 priests on the ground. But unfortunately, apart from touching a few shells on these 2 people, she didn't find anything. Not that this place is golden country. Why didn't these people even see a piece of gold on them? Hee, it would be nice for us to verify our own strength. Allah, Mr. Captain, you have returned. Is this the legendary god? Robin looked at Bai-Han, then at the man with big ears beside Bai-Han, and asked curiously. The thunderbolt before was still fresh in her memory. Although he knew that this was the power of devil fruit, but what the other party showed was too shocking. As for why the other party obediently followed behind his own captain, Robin didn't think there was anything wrong either. Just the magical power that one can obtain the devil fruit ability through cultivation is enough to explain everything. Well, let's go to find Shandora, the capital of gold. In addition, there seems to be a piece of historical text here. Bai-Han glanced at Robin and said calmly. He knew it was Robin's wish to help his crew realize a small wish, but Bai-Han didn't think it was a big deal. What Robin wants to know, though, is the history of that disappearance. I'm afraid this part of the historical text will disappoint her. Because, what is recorded in this piece of historical text is the location of the legendary Poseidon. This is very similar to Alabasta's piece of Pluton's history text. Historical text. Robin's pupils suddenly contracted slightly. The sudden appearance of the historical text made her heart beat wildly. The reason why she joined Clocadar's forces back then was to take a look at the hidden historical text of Alabasta. However, because Kalok was killed and she became Bai-Han's crew, her idea could only be suppressed temporarily. However, seeing Bai-Han mentioning this matter again at this moment, Robin's mind became active again. But she didn't reveal her thoughts for the first time, but stroked her hair and said with a light smile, "Then, Mr. Captain, do you want to know about the ancient weapon recorded in the historical text?" Woolen cloth. Bai-Han reached out and rubbed Robin's head, then raised the corners of his mouth and said with a smile, "Robin, you are underestimating me. Although the super ancient weapon is powerful, it is only a needle. For one force, but for those strong at the Admiral 4 Emperor's level, they are mobile ancient weapons. Quote, can Pluton destroy an island with one shot? But if the 4 Emperors and Admiral were to attack with all their strength, which one would not be a natural disaster level existence? Even Bai-Han, who now has combined ninjutsu, can barely achieve the effect of destroying the island. It's nothing more than a question of how many combined ninjutsu to perform. And with Bai-Han's current chakra volume, even if he releases 17 or 8 combined ninjutsu in one breath, he won't be panting. The biggest problem is the consumption of Mangekyo Sharingan. Therefore, the real strong is actually everyone who really takes these ancient weapons seriously. Only a loser like Kalok would want to find ancient weapon to satisfy his ambition. Robin was deeply shocked by the confidence in Bai-Han's eyes. After a long time, she finally came to her senses, tilted her head and covered her mouth with a light smile. It seems that I underestimated the captain. A simple change of words, but a change in Luo's mentality. At this moment, she truly integrated herself into Bai-Han's side. Because, she knew that the man in front of her was not interested in her ability to understand ancient characters. This is an absolute strong man who only believes in his own strength. He is also an extremely strong person who will inevitably stand at the pinnacle of this world in the future. After a brief cleaning of the battlefield, the three of them rushed towards the legendary Golden City, Dora, with Enel. This capital of gold, which has been silent for more than 400 years, also welcomed the arrival of newcomers for the first time. As for how to take away so much gold, it is not a big problem. The unique sea beasts in Sky Island are the best transportation tools. All you need to do is let Enel use lightning metallurgy to shape the gold into special shapes, and then all these sea beasts can be packed away. Under the illusion of Mangekyo Sharingan, it was very easy for Rihan to control these sea beasts. He can even control these sea beasts carrying gold, easily hiding in the sea of clouds. Gold worth nearly 1 trillion berry was quietly taken away by Bai-Han. As for the historical text located in Shandora, it was also buried in this sea of clouds by Bai-Han. Poseidon's news, it's better not to let outsiders know. For that lovely giant mermaid princess, Rihan still has a good impression. Next, let's go to the Devil's Triangle. Moria has a nice weapon. After this matter is resolved, let's go meet the 2 pirates from the last century. Bai-Han talked about the future plan to the satisfied Nami and Robin behind him. Moria has the treasure of Wanokuni, the black knife Chushui in the 21 work of the big fast knife. That can be regarded as a rare and powerful weapon in the world. Even the marine alternate Admiral Momoshige Gion's weapon is nothing more than that. If he can get it, he won't need to change weapons for a long time in the future. He just doesn't know when he will be able to obtain the Uchiha round fan and sickle, which are the spiritual symbols of the Uchiha clan and only the patriarch of the Uchiha clan can master. As the inheritance treasure of the Uchiha family, the quality of the Uchiha fan is definitely beyond the existence of the Supreme Sword. Even the most peak record, but also bounced over the small-tailed beast bomb sprayed by Naruto. If he could get the Uchiha fan, even the current him would be enough to rank among the ranks of the Admiral class. After all, this is a powerful ninja tool made from the branches of the sacred tree. On the Ashura, after being equipped with the energy component Enel, the Ashura can be regarded as completely perfected. Its terrifying energy source directly fills up Ashura. Moreover, the existence of Enel has also directly raised the combat effectiveness of the Ashura to a higher level. Even if the three of them go out in the future, there is no need to worry about who will drive the boat away. Under Enel's terrifying observation haki, Fang Yuan is within range of dozens of kilometers. Even with the Cloud Maker added to the Ashura can even launch Enel's most powerful move, Thunder Greeting. This is a terrifying move that can completely smash Sky Island like Burka. Rounded up, this equates to the Ashura being a little Pluton. And, because of Enel as a power source, therefore, the Ashura no longer needs to consume a large amount of coal as fuel. Enel is fully capable of supplying the full power of the Ashura. On average, you only need to pay no more than 50,000 berry worth of food for 100 kilometers. If you are willing to save a little more, you can even hunt Sea Kings directly to replenish Enel's energy. And this expense also let Nami heave a sigh of relief. No need to worry about the consumed berry every day. After leaving Sky Island, Baihan set his next battle in the Devil's Triangle. The Devil's Triangle is actually not far from where they are now, only about half a month away. If it was the Ashura, which was far faster than other ships, it would only take 5 days. So, just 5 days later, the three of Baihan arrived in the Devil's Triangle Sea. The sea was still calm and cloudless before, but after the Ashura sailed into the sea, the surrounding area instantly became gloomy. Dense dark clouds covered every corner of the sky. In such a place, even if you want to see the sun, it is impossible to do. In this sea area, it is full of various strange legends. What empty ghost ship sailing quietly, what green ghosts of dead pirates, or skeletons singing in the fog. All in all, it's an eerie to the ultimate place. However, more than 70% of these legends are all because of Moria. As an existence that dared to challenge Kaido, no matter how bad Moria was, she was still at the naval headquarters vice admiral level. Even Moria is a powerhouse in the naval headquarters vice admiral. Against the naval headquarters elite vice admiral, they can hold their own in a short period of time. And such a strong person is in the first half of the Grand Line, so it is naturally the existence of quacking. In addition, Moria is frantically collecting other people's shadows, trying to build a zombie army to fight back to Wano Kuni to seek revenge from Kaido. All ships that enter here have almost no way to escape from this place. However, Baihan's complexion became a little dignified after entering here. Because, in the plot of the anime, in the thick fog of the Devil's Triangle Sea, 3 gigantic figures appeared. The opponent's eyes alone were probably much larger than the world's largest 3-masted sailing ship, the Thriller bark. This kind of monster is at least 10,000 meter level, and its strength is at least at the Admiral 4 Emperors level. Even Admiral and 4 Emperors level existences dare not say that they will definitely have a chance of winning in the face of such monsters. One can imagine the risks involved in rushing into such a dangerous sea at this moment. But there is no way. This black knife Chushui is already known to Baihan, and the only big sharp knife that can be obtained. Other than that, the other big cuts are either in New World, or in the hands of the Golden Lion hiding above East Blue. Although in the anime theatrical version, Golden Lion was easily hammered away by Luffy, making Golden Lion look weak. But in fact, Yu Wei, the old man of the Lion Kingdom, is still there. If he really underestimated that old lion, he would definitely die in the end. Let's get out of here as soon as possible. Suppressing the anxiety in his heart, Baihan murmured in a low voice. After he opens Rinnegan in the future, maybe he can try to unravel the mystery of this world. But that's definitely not now. After sailing for about 3 hours, a huge phantom quietly appeared in the sea ahead. Baihan, who was originally sitting on the bow of the boat in Panshi, suddenly opened his eyes. Coming, whizzing, 2 beautiful figures fell beside Baihan immediately. They were Nami and Robin. After the previous battle with the four priests, the two have reached the point of understanding their own strength. At least, you can easily defeat your previous self. 7 Warlords of the Sea. Moria is coming. I'm really looking forward to it. This is the 4th 7 Warlords of the Sea that we will offend. Nami said happily. Bi-Han, what does it mean to be offended? It's really ugly. Can the matter between colleagues be described as offending? He just wanted to ask this colleague for a handy weapon. I believe that this colleague of mine should be very cooperative. Allah, I hope this Mr. 7 Warlords of the Sea won't be bullied too badly by the captain. Robin also said with a smile on the side. Is he some kind of bad guy? Soon, a huge mouth emerged from the thick fog, and the Ashura was also swallowed by the opponent. With 2 rows of teeth closed, the Ashura is completely sealed off from the outside world. And the 3 of them also successfully came within the range of the thriller bark. As the largest ship in the world, the thriller bark is almost as large as an island. Even though the Ashura is not too small, it still feels like sailing into a harbor. At this moment, a rustling sound in the distance attracted the attention of the 3 of them. Something is running towards the Ashura. As a man who has read the script, Bai Mei naturally knows what is coming. It is a man's dream, the owner of the transparent fruit Absalom. However, Bai-Han didn't have much action, because he is full of confidence in the second daughter beside him. It would be too ridiculous to want to get close to the 2 of them just by relying on invisibility. You know, the most powerful ability of a ninja is the ability to accurately lock the enemy in the dark. After all, ninjas are specialized in assassination, so what is a mere invisibility? But at this moment, when he saw Nami and Robin standing on Ashura, Absalom, who was very serious, looked at the eyes of the 3 of them suddenly, and couldn't help but feel a sudden jump in his heart. Did the 3 of them see him? But it's impossible. As a transparent fruit-capable user, he is a completely transparent existence. Not even Lord Moria can detect his existence. How could the 3 people in front of them have discovered his existence? Master Moria said that in the first half of the Grand Line, his transparent fruit is an invincible existence. Thinking of this, Absalom felt a little more at ease. It must be that he didn't restrain himself before, so he was heard by these 3 people. But it doesn't matter, as long as the other party can't see where he is, so what if they hear where he is? With the transparent fruit, he is an invincible existence in the first half of the Grand Line. Gia, little beauty, here I come. With a wretched smile on Absalom's face, he moved towards Nami and Robin. However, the moment he was about to approach the Ashura, a thunderbolt suddenly flashed in the sky, and it directly struck Absalom's body. Boom! The azure blue thunder light instantly illuminated the entire thriller bark. At the same time, a scorched black pit with a diameter of tens of meters was created on the ground. In the middle of the big pit, a scorched black man with a human face and a leopard mouth, dressed in the costume of a doll prince, was lying on the center of the big pit, twitching constantly. Facing a powerful blow from Enel. The combat power can only be regarded as an ordinary Absalom, directly entering the dying state. If not for a very good doctor to heal him in 3 minutes, Absalom had no chance of surviving. Nice anti-theft feature. Bai-Han nodded in satisfaction. The Enel brand anti-theft device is simply not too easy to use. And through observation hockey, he can perceive a huge force, which is rapidly waking up from the central castle. It is obviously impossible to hide the previous movement from Moria. The other party is also a well-known strong man in the sea, how could he be so stupid? But only for a moment, a black shadow flew over from the castle in the distance, and appeared beside Absalom, who was knocked to the ground. It was Moria, who was the size of a bowling pin. Moria, who has experienced failure, has long since lost her previous appearance. It's you, East Blue Shira Bai-Han. Why did you do something to my people? Do you want to fight me? Moria put her arms around Absalom, screaming angrily. As if he heard some joke, Bai-Han stepped on the railing and looked down at Moria condescendingly. Go to war. What qualifications do you have to go to war with me? With your body like a water bottle. While speaking, Mangekyo Sharingan had quietly appeared in his eye sockets. At the same time, overwhelming murderous aura also emanated from Bai-Han's body. It seemed to form a monstrous sea of blood, rushing towards Moria. For these pirates, he has never had a good temper. If it weren't for the fact that Moria is 7 warlords of the sea, there would only be a boatload of corpses here at this moment. Bai Han's terrifying murderous aura made even Moria's body stiffen. He seemed to smell the strong smell of blood in the air. Is this person in front of me really a bounty hunter on the side of justice? He is like a devil in hell. Even he, a pirate, didn't kill as many people as the other party. However, after all, she was a big pirate who roamed the sea, so Moria didn't shrink back because of Bai Han's aura. East Blue Shura, you have successfully angered Lousy. Since you want to start a war, let's start a war. Come out, zombie army. Moria raised her slender arms and screamed. Suddenly, the surrounding ground trembled slightly. The next moment, countless black and purple arms wrapped in bandages stretched out from the soil underground. At the same time, a strong stench suddenly hit the nostrils. A group of ragged figures with weapons in their hands scrambled up from the ground. From the stitched bodies of these figures and the strange skin color, it is not difficult to see that these guys are not alive. At the same time, zombies are constantly coming in the surrounding jungle. But in just a moment, the shore was completely surrounded by zombies. Among them, the most attractive ones are the 4 zombies at the front. The 4 zombies are 3 general zombies wearing armor, and a swordsman zombie carrying a long black knife. 3 general zombies, Akoku with a long beard and a giant straight sword. With a western sword hanging on his waist, John with curly golden hair, who is still drinking wine at the moment. And the silver axe in armor, with a one-handed axe in one hand and a shield in the other. All 3 of them were great pirates who were once famous for a while, and even Bai Han looked sideways at them. You know, the pirate group that these 3 people belonged to was the Rocks pirate group that almost subverted the world at that time. Together with Whitebeard, Big Mom and Golden Lion, the 3 can become one of the cadres of the Rocks pirates. One can imagine how powerful they are. Even if they haven't reached the admiral level, they have definitely reached the alternate admiral level. However, who would have thought that after the death of these 3 people, Moria would actually play with the corpses? You know, when the 3 were alive, even Kaido was just an ordinary trainee in the Rocks pirates. Of course, Bai Han just stayed briefly on the bodies of the 3 of them. He set his sights on the swordsman-like zombie in an inconspicuous position. Slaying the dragon, the sword, the dragon and the horse. Bai Han glanced at the Yasuo-like zombie. It's a pity that the opponent is already dead, otherwise it would be such a pleasure to fight against such a strong person. However, Zanlong Jianao had already died. Although Brook's shadow is stuffed into it, but how much strength can this show? Such a dragon-slaying swordsman made Bai Han have no desire to fight at all. He turned his eyes to the black knife Chushui held in Longma's hand, this time his eyes showed a hot light. That is the 21 work of the big fast knife, which is quite famous in the world of pirates. One of only 21 powerful famous knives in the world. If he could get this famous knife, he should be able to have the capital to fight against the admiral-level powerhouse. At least, during the battle, he doesn't need to worry about his weapon being interrupted by the opponent. The 3 armored zombies are handed over to you 2, as for the rest. While speaking to Nami and Robin, Bai Han glanced at the growing army of zombies around him, then just clear the field. It's like water is sand fruit's nemesis. Shadow fruit also has its own nemesis, that is salt. And the most indispensable thing in seawater is salt. At this moment, Bai Han, who is in the sea, has endless seawater to call upon. Water style. Who will repair the dam? Bai Han directly borrowed a seal with both hands in front of him. The next moment, a huge wave of water suddenly shot up from the sea behind him, forming a huge wave, rushing towards the forest in front of him. The terrifying wave was 40 or 50 meters long, and it was as high as a dozen floors. Just looking at it is enough to make people feel a sense of suffocating pressure. Those zombie legions that were still aggressive were immediately discouraged. Ignoring Moria's convening order at all, they started screaming and fleeing towards the rear desperately. If they are contaminated with seawater, then they won't have anything to play at all. Even Moria's face turned pale. What the news said is actually true. This kid named Bai Han, who is also the 7 warlords of the sea with him, actually has the ability to control water. Moreover, it can easily control seawater. This is simply the absolute nemesis of demon fruit power like him. It's no wonder that Guy Lockdoll will die in the hands of this fool. With this ability, just grab the demon fruit power and underestimate the enemy's gap. It can directly cause the consequences of lore. Lousy is wrong, stop now. Lousy surrendered. Seeing that her zombie army was about to be flooded, and her years of hard work would also be ruined, Moria hurriedly screamed in spite of herself. Once you let the seawater touch your own zombie army, the shadows that I have worked so hard to collect will directly leave the zombie's body and return to the body of its owner. This is equivalent to letting all his years of hard work go to waste. Moria has nothing but to accept such a result. Seeing that Bai Han didn't want to stop, Moria hurriedly moved out of the world government and threatened, 7 warlords of the sea is breaking the law by taking action against another 7 warlords of the sea, and your actions will cause you to become world government the most wanted criminal. Bai Han, you have great piety, and you don't want your future to be ruined, do you? However, Moria's words were directly counterproductive. Bai Han directly increased Chakra's output with a black face. You, Sakura Flower Country netizen. Not to mention, this is the ship Moria invited him to board first. His shot was completely self-defense. Even if it was put in front of 5 elders, the other party couldn't say anything to refute. Boom! The monstrous waves instantly overwhelmed Moria's zombie army. Suddenly, countless black shadows flew out of the zombies' mouths and flew into the air. Only the 3 general zombies, Akoku, John, and Silver Axe, and the dragon-slaying swordsman Ryoma were deliberately kept by Bai Han. The 3 general zombies are the whetstones he left for Nami and Robin, so of course they will stay. As for dragon-slaying sword Haolongma, before getting the opponent's sword, the opponent cannot be washed away by the big waves. As for Moria, Bai Han has no interest in Moria. At this moment, the other party looked very much like a fat house that was broken into by a brat and destroyed countless handmade houses. Sitting on the ground with a dazed face, it was as if he had been played to pieces. Fat house, who gave up resistance like this, didn't even have the interest to bully him. Of course, he won't let his guard down on Moria either. So, he directly gave Enel instructions to let Enel monitor Moria's every move. As long as Moria has the slightest idea of wanting to make a move, he will directly smash the thunder and give Moria something nice. With the terrifying speed of thunder fruit, it was enough to intercept the opponent before Moria made any moves. Therefore, Bai Han passed Moria with confidence, and walked towards the dragon-slaying dragon horse zombie. Moria, who was kneeling on the ground, tightened and loosened her fingers, and finally gave up the idea of making a move. Since he lost to Kaido Ci that time, he already has a full understanding of himself and the gap in this world. Lurking in the Devil's Triangle, developing his own power. In fact, it's just an idea for his self-comfort. How could he not know that these zombies are not much threat to Kaido? But what if you knew it? A trash like him may never have the hope of avenging his crew. And if he chooses to do something to Bai Han now, then it might not be an Absalom who died. Perona, Hobuk, it will also die at the hands of this inhuman guy. Even for the sake of the people who are still alive, he must not do it. Thinking of this, Moria became even more decadent. And Moria's emotional changes naturally did not escape the perception of Bai Han, who opened observation hockey. While lamenting the changes in Moria, Bai also alerted himself in his heart. After all, this world still speaks with strength, and only with absolute strength can one be able to control the right to speak. Moria is because the strength is too weak. Therefore, even if the crew were killed by him at this moment, they still dare not even fart. But if his strength is strong enough, no one would dare to offend him. Just like in this sea, no one dares to touch the sons of Whitebeard for a reason. Without continuing to pay attention to Moria, Bai Han came to stand in front of Longma, the dragon-slaying swordsman, and at the same time stretched out his hand, and said flatly, "Give me the black knife and autumn water." For this zombie who may still have a dragon horse consciousness in his body, Bai Han gave him some respect. This is his respect for a strong man, even if what remains now is just the other party's corpse and the remaining consciousness. Yo ho ho ho, little brother, you are also a Jontian, right? Let us use the way of swordsmen to decide the ownership of this sword. The dragon-slaying swordsman Ryoma, who merged with Brook's shadow, let out a low laugh and said. At this moment, Ryoma's remaining consciousness has recovered. He wanted to see how strong the young swordsman in front of him was, and whether he was worthy of the black knife Chushui who had accompanied him all his life. After a moment of silence, Bai Han pulled out the third-generation gouge from his waist, and said in a deep voice, "As you wish." He didn't mind fulfilling the demands of a dead man. In this knife, he will show all the sword comprehension he has mastered. Yo ho ho ho, little brother, let me see your sword. As soon as Longma finished speaking, he disappeared in place in an instant. The same is true for Bai Han. When the two appeared here, they had already come behind each other. 3 songs of nose and swallow tail. Uchiha stream swordsmanship. Both of them slowly put the knife in their hands back into the sheath. The moment the sword tan collided with the scabbard. Puff! The sound of the sharp blade cutting into the flesh was only heard now. Long Ma was directly cut off in the middle, while Bai Han was unscathed, and the judgment between the two sides was decided. Yo ho 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 ho, what a gorgeous sword. Art, I will leave Chushui to you, take it to see the higher scenery. I wish I could fight with you while I'm alive. Longma threw the autumn water in his hand to Bai Han, and his body lost his voice after landing. And Brooke's shadow also flew out of Ryoma's body, disappeared into the dark clouds, and disappeared. It's a pity. As expected of the Dragon Slayer swordsman. Bai Han took the autumn water thrown by the dragon horse, and also sighed. The sword fight between the two before could be described as extremely dangerous. Even with this pair of Mangekyo Sharingan and observation haki, Bai Han still felt tremendous pressure. If it wasn't for the fact that this zombie body restricted Ryoma's performance, what he was using was not his own swordsmanship. Whether he can win this duel is still a matter of opinion. The dragon-slaying swordsman at his peak is probably at least a great swordsman at the admiral level. It's a pity that the two are not from the same era, otherwise they would definitely be able to fight well. However, this depression completely dissipated after feeling the strength of the black knife Chushui in his hand. Such a powerful weapon is enough for him to use in admiral battles. Just wait for armament haki or the level of swordsmanship to complete the breakthrough. He will be able to formally step into the admiral level, and completely step into the peak of the world. Next, after settling for a period of time and accumulating some physical background, you can go to New World. Bai Han's eyes showed a strong fighting spirit. His template fusion progress is too slow. Only by fighting against those strong men in the New World can his template fusion progress be improved rapidly. And once he mastered the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, then, his strength in the ninja system will be directly promoted to the admiral level. Possess a super cage level combat power comparable to the Hokage world. And at that step, he will truly step into the world's top circle. About 3 hours later, Nami and Robin also solved their opponents one after another. Akoku, John, and Silver Axe are, after all, great pirates who were once famous all over the world. Even though Moria got only the partial mutilated corpses of 3 people, these 3 corpses still displayed a strength not inferior to that of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral. However, Nami and Robin were still able to resolve the fight so quickly. It is enough to see the strength growth of the two during this time. I'm afraid that after this time of precipitation and training, the strength of the two will rise to another level, and they will completely enter the sequence of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Moria still didn't make a move in the end. Instead, he stood at the highest point of the thriller bark and watched Bai Han's boat gradually go away. However, looking at the messy thriller bark, Moria tightly clenched her fists, with a gloomy expression on her face, as if she was about to drip water. East Blue Shura, this matter is definitely not over. Kaido, I can't do anything, can't you? And I can't do anything. Moria turned and went back to the shadowy castle. As long as he can find a suitable shadow for the Youngwo Demon Oz in the underground freezer, it is enough to make the big guy with terrifying power act. Not to mention anything else, just relying on that huge body. Youngwo Demon Oz has extremely terrifying destructive power. Even if he faces Kaido, he may not have no chance. What's more, it's just a small Bai Han. I will definitely make you regret this day, East Blue Shura, he 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 he. Inside the thriller bark, Moria's sinister smile echoed. Bai Han naturally didn't know Moria's plan. However, even if he knew it, he wouldn't care about it in the slightest. The strong are always strong in themselves. If you just blindly rely on this kind of external force, then this kind of person will never become a real strong person in his life. After leaving the thriller bark, Bi-Han headed towards the Boeing Islands according to the direction of the record pointer presented by Marine. Whether it is him, Nami or Robin, their own development has actually not reached the limit. Nami is still growing physically, and Luoku is because of a bad life before. The bodies of the two are in urgent need of rich nutrition for nourishment. Moreover, both of them have mastered the cultivation method of Marine 6 styles. As long as you can master the 6 styles life return, you can quickly consume the nutrients in the food to replenish yourself and repair your own potential. And Bi-Han is the same reason, he is the one who came to the world of pirates. Physical aptitude itself cannot be compared with these monsters in the pirate world. If it weren't for the fact that the template was fused with Uchiha Madara's template and possessed the blood of the Uchiha clan, he wouldn't even reach the bottom line of practicing armament hockey. And if he can get a lot of nutritious food, his constitution will also be improved rapidly. He even developed the potential of his body. Therefore, the Boeing Islands and his party are of great significance. Moreover, Hercules, who lives in the Boeing Islands, is probably also a hidden powerhouse. Judging from the opponent's performance in the plot, Hercules might not be weaker than a naval headquarters elite vice admiral who practiced physical skills. If he can compete with the opponent in physical skills, his physical skills will surely improve rapidly. After about a month's voyage, Bi-Han successfully found the Boeing Islands. Huge, flower-like islands appeared in front of the three of them. Nami lay on the side of the boat and exclaimed, "My God! This is the island that is said to be made up of food. Boeing Islands, is there such a magical island in this world?" This is definitely something she could never have imagined in East Blue before. It is said that on the Boeing Islands, there are ramen waterfalls, pork chop rice fruit, chocolate lake and other strange delicacies. Moreover, whether it is nutrition or taste, it can be called a must in the world. Nami would never have dared to imagine this in the past. If someone mentions it, she will definitely scold him for wishful thinking. But now, smelling the various aromas from the island, she had to admit the magic of this world. This is not just an island, but a carnivorous plant. Robin pressed the cowboy hat on the top of his head, and said with a smile, "According to the records in the book, these plants named Boeing are like pitcher plants, attracting prey one after another, waiting for the prey to eat on them. After getting enough nutrition and becoming fat, it will gather its leaves and devour all the prey. So, little Nami, don't get too fat." Nami snorted proudly, flicked her ponytail and said confidently, "I won't get fat. It's you, be careful." Robin-chan. While speaking, she also quietly glanced at Robin's proud chest, which made her jealous for a while. Why isn't hers so big? She has seen Bi-Han's gaze drawn to this pair of evil from time to time. If she had such a size, wouldn't Bi-Han's gaze be fixed on her more often? Okay, get ready to land on the island. There may be sea kings approaching around the Boeing Islands. Let's go directly from here. About 5 kilometers away from the Boeing Islands, Bi-Han stopped the Ashura and said, "Although it is said that there is Enel on the Ashura, even if there are blind sea kings who want to attack the Ashura, Enel can easily eliminate them. However, if it can save a little trouble, it is better to save a little trouble. Otherwise, just the dead bodies of those sea kings would be a troublesome matter. The remaining corpses can easily attract more sea kings to come. At that time, it may even cause riots in the entire sea area, which is definitely a very dangerous thing." "Well, I listen to you." "Okay, Master Captain." Robin and Nami naturally had no objections. For them, such a small distance is just a few steps away. After giving Enel the order to guard the ship, Bi-Han took Nami and Robin to the Boeing Islands. The moment he landed on the island, Bi-Han directly activated observation hockey, sweeping across the entire Boeing Islands in an instant. In an instant, all the creatures on the island appeared in his perception. In addition to the insects that grew on the island, in observation hockey's perception, a life aura like a scorching sun caught Bi-Han's attention. The other party seemed to have sensed his existence and was approaching rapidly. If nothing else happened, it should be Hercules who lived in the Boeing Islands and exercised his will to survive. The existence with the same name as Hercules in Western mythology. You two start to practice freely, remember to practice the 6 postures in time after eating, and strive to return the life out of the practice as soon as possible. We will all be living on this island for a long time to come. Baihan stared at the direction Hercules was coming, and warned Robin and Nami. Once Robin and Nami have fully utilized his physical potential, he can prepare for entering the new world in the future. He can't wait to fight against the real powerhouses of New World. Understood. I wish you a happy time, Master Captain. Robin grabs Nami, who still wants to say something, walks towards the woods. Although Robin hasn't mastered observation haki yet, he doesn't know about Hercules' arrival. However, Robin saw the strong fighting intent in Baihan's eyes, which proved that there must be something coming towards this side. My own captain is afraid that he wants to have a good fight with this existence. That being the case, as a caring crew member, she naturally couldn't disturb the interest of her own captain. Moreover, she is also full of interest in this magical island. If it is really according to what Baihan said, the food here can make her body grow rapidly and make up for the previous deficiency. Well, maybe after this retreat, she can also learn armament haki. Not long after Nami and Robin left, a man wearing unicorn armor jumped out of the jungle. I am Hercules, someone from the outside world. What is your business on this island? Yes. After speaking, he looked at the direction Nami and Robin left and said, this island is very dangerous. Is it okay for your female partner to go into the jungle alone like this? Yes. Baihan looked at Hercules with great interest, and shook his head. It's okay, don't worry about them, you are a strong physicist, right? Do you want to fight with me using physical techniques? Hercules was stunned for a moment, and then quickly waved his hands. Let's forget about fighting, I'm just a botanist. After watching the original plot, Baihan knows the weakness of the person in front of him. You only need to praise Hercules, and the other party will not know how to refuse him at all. He is a very easy person to deal with. Could it be that a great fighter like you would refuse others' desire to ask for advice? Baihan praised without hesitation. Sure enough, this sentence directly hit Hercules knowingly. Great, great. Hercules directly covered his heart, and his breathing became a little rough. That's right, you have such strong chi and blood, you must be a very powerful fighter. It must be my honor to get your advice. Due to facial paralysis, when Baihan said this, his face was expressionless the whole time. However, Hercules was still stabbed severely by this sentence. He slapped Baihan's shoulder without any hesitation. Don't worry, the great Hercules will definitely give you good advice. After finishing speaking, Hercules performed a few more classic fitness poses, and kept muttering, I am the great Hercules. It's also a very cute character. There was also a smile on the corner of Baihan's mouth. Very good. In the next period of time, there will be someone who can point out his physical skills. Hercules' physical skills are probably at least at the level of Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral, maybe even stronger. If he can continue to fight against such a strong man, his physical skills will definitely be greatly improved. Might as well push his armament haki towards advanced levels. Once able to master advanced armament haki, then, his armament haki can be regarded as stepping into the level of the top powerhouses in this world. After a while, Baihan and Hercules came to an empty field and stood facing each other. Be careful, the great Hercules is very powerful. Hercules kindly reminded Baihan. Please let the horse come over, feel the pain in the collision, that is the charm of fighting. Baihan had already untied the black sword Chushui at this moment, and chose to fight in the air. He was going to use pure physical skills to fight Hercules. This is also his preparation for facing the top pirates in the future. Being able to become the top powerhouse in the pirate world has no so-called shortcomings at all. Armament haki and observation haki are at least advanced level. Fruit abilities have also been developed to the peak, and even awakened. Coupled with good swordsmanship or physical skills, it can be said that pirates, the world's top powerhouses per capita hexagon warrior, especially old monsters like Garp and Zephyr, can compete against 4 Emperor's Admiral with physical skills without eating devil fruit. Taijutsu and armament haki directly surpass the others by a class. Therefore, in order to allow myself to have the strength to fight 4 Emperors and Admiral, Baihan will not miss any chance to improve his strength. Then let's get started. Hercules' voice remained where he was, and he disappeared in an instant. Where he was standing before, the ground shattered and disintegrated in an instant, and a large pit with a diameter of 5 or 6 meters appeared. When it appeared again, it was already in front of Bai Han. The fist with the glove slammed straight into Bai Han's face with a strong wind. However, Bai Han could clearly feel that Hercules had restrained his strength, and the power of this fist was probably at most the level of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. It was similar to most of the Naval Headquarters Vice Admirals he met when he was studying in Marineford. Please be a little more serious, this kind of strength is not enough to hurt me. Bai Han easily grabbed Hercules' fist and said. Seeing his fist being grabbed, Hercules' eyes under the mask obviously lit up. I understand, the great Hercules is about to start exerting his strength. Boom! Suddenly, a wave of air blasted from Hercules' body. Bai Han clearly felt a huge force suddenly coming from the fist he was grasping. He felt like he was holding a mad bull, pushing him back and forth. However, this kind of battle is exactly what he wants to see. Ha 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 ha, that's it, let me fight. Bai Han raised his leg directly and kicked Hercules' chin directly. However, Hercules quickly blocked the attacking kick with his free arm. But Bai Han's power still kicked Hercules into the air. And the next step is a set of fierce combo moves belonging to Uchiha Fluid Art. Almost all moves are aimed at killing the enemy. For a moment, even Hercules was beaten back steadily. However, Hercules is a strong physicist after all. In the case that Bai Han only used physical skills, Hercules still defended against Bai Han's attack, and found an opportunity to force Bai Han back with a punch, and withdrew from Bai Han's attack. Beat rhythm, excellent technique, but something is missing. That's the indomitable momentum. Hercules was not stingy with his praise. Then immediately launched a stormy counterattack against Bai Han. For a moment, the sound of two people colliding violently resounded throughout the Boeing Islands. At the same time, the news of Bai Han's disappearance also set off a big wave in the world. Da Flamingo with high bounty for Bai Han. Redhead Shanks trying to find Bai Han. Talk. Seaman Jinbei who wants to avenge his brother. And many pirates who want to step on Bai Han's head. All were completely agitated by the news of Bai Han. Due to the terrifying speed of the Ashura and the huge material load. No one can grasp the precise position of Bai Han at all. The location of Bai Han can only be predicted through the trajectory of Bai Han. However, it is really too difficult to squat to Bai Han in this way. Now it can be said that the whole world has set off a wave of searching for Bai Han. And the only ones who know the specific location of Bai Han are those at the top of Naval Headquarters. Such as Sengoku, San Admiral, Suru Vice Admiral and Gion. Even that old man Garp is not qualified to know where exactly Bai Han is located. I was afraid that Garp would leak Bai Han's location information. Because the outside world is turbulent now, and various forces want to attack Bai Han, Sengoku hopes that Bai Han can hide to avoid the limelight. Especially the red-haired Shanks who sneaked into the first half of the Grand Line made Sengoku's gray hair a lot more. Marineford has therefore entered a first-level combat readiness status. Even Garp and Akainu were sent out to search the location of Shanks all over the world. No matter how confident Sengoku is in Bai Han's strength, he doesn't think Bai Han is capable of fighting an entire Four Emperors pirate group. Want to fight that guy with the red hair Shanks? I'm afraid at least 2 admirals will need 5 vice admirals and a group of subordinates. After all, Ben Beckman, the deputy captain of the Red Hair Pirates, is also a very difficult guy and his strength may have reached admiral's level. And now that Bai Han is willing to retreat and practice in one place for a period of time, he is naturally very happy. He didn't want this future king of bounty hunters to be intercepted and killed by those evil people. As for why Gion would know. Naturally, it was because Gion kept pestering Bai Han that he wanted to teach Bai Han how to practice swordsmanship, and at the same time asked Bai Han questions about ninjutsu. However, what Gion was planning, Sengoku could hear it even across Marineford. However, he had no reason to stop Gion, and even thought about making this pair. This is if Gion abducts Bai Han. He gave Gion the entire admiral position high and low before abdicating. As for everything in the outside world, Rihan, who is currently cultivating, doesn't know anything about it. Under Hercules' all-out efforts, his physical skill level is improving at an astonishing rate every day. At the same time, under the nourishment of the nutrient-rich food on the Boeing Islands, his body quickly became stronger. Even the height began to rejuvenate under the effect of these foods. Time flies, and 2 years passed quickly. At this moment, countless changes have taken place in the sea, and many rising stars have begun to show their heads. However, Bai Han, who became the 7 warlords of the sea, gradually disappeared from the public's sight and became the object of regret for countless common people. This is the normal state of this sea, and the strong are replaced too quickly. Many people are even speculating whether Bai Han was secretly killed in this sea by some strong man. The most suspected ones are undoubtedly the red hair pirates who wandered in the first half of the Grand Line for half a year before leaving. After all, judging from the strength displayed by Bai Han, only the red hair pirates have this ability to kill Bai Han. As for Jinbei, he became the second candidate that everyone doubted. Jinbei, who has good strength and is a murloc, is also likely to kill Bai Han. Therefore, Jinbei's reputation among humans has become worse and worse in the past 2 years. This undoubtedly made the red hair and Jinbei extremely depressed. Although they all wanted to get rid of Bai Han, they really didn't even touch Bai Han's hair. Especially Jinbei, who can't even express his suffering. His original plan to ease the relationship between murlocs and humans, but because of this incident, the progress has become extremely slow. Even, many civilians openly expressed their disgust for the murlocs, which made the murlocs' situation even more difficult. Of course, these are just the thoughts of ordinary people. Those truly strong men didn't think that a man like Bai Han would die so easily. All forces are closely watching the troubles in the first half of the Grand Line. They all wanted to know what kind of posture the world's strongest bounty hunter, who had suddenly risen and then suddenly fell silent, would appear next time. On the beach of the Boeing Islands, Bai Han, who was shirtless, revealing a perfect white chest and abs, was slowly sitting cross-legged. On his legs, there is the Wanokuni Supreme Treasure Black Sword Chushui. Suddenly, Bai Han suddenly opened his eyes, and the whole person disappeared in place in an instant. The next moment, he had already appeared on the surface of the sea. Rub. Hideout Chushui had unsheathed at some point. A sword chi with a length of 40 to 50 meters slashed out along the blade in an instant. At this moment, the sea was directly divided into 2 halves. This saber energy directly split the sea, leaving a gully thousands of meters wide on the sea. Is this the realm of a great swordsman? What a terrifying sword energy! Looking at his masterpiece, Bai Han couldn't help sighing. After 2 years of training, his current level of swordsmanship has also been successfully raised to the level of a great swordsman. The sword energy released is enough to easily split the sea and split the clouds. Even with this level of kendo, he is comparable to Naval Headquarters Alternate Admiral. Clap clap. At this time, a burst of applause came from beside him. Bai Han turned his head and looked behind him, only to see Gion appearing behind him at some point. Seeing Gion standing on the sea easily, it is obvious that he has mastered the use of chakra very skillfully. However, it is a pity that ninjutsu did not allow Gion to break through the strength of Alternate Admiral, but only made Gion closer to Admiral of Headquarters. But compared to before, Gion's strength has increased by at least 50%. In particular, there are many more long-range strike methods. Seeing Bai Han looking over, Gion smiled proudly and said, "Bai Han, you are definitely the most talented person I have ever met. It is only 2 years, your armament hockey, observation hockey, they have all grown to advanced levels, and their physical strength is enough to match me. Now even the level of kendo has broken through to the level of a great swordsman. Time is completely incomparable to you." That's right, after 2 years of training, Bai Han's various strengths in the pirate system have reached the strongest level under Admiral. Even the 2-color hockey has crossed the threshold of the Admiral class. Even compared with Admiral, the gap is not particularly big. However, there was no pride on Bai Han's face, he was too aware of how deep the water in this world was. At the same time, the son of Luck named Luffy, who will go to sea this year, will have such a heaven-defying talent. After all, it took Luffy just under 5 years. From an existence without the strength of Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral, it has grown into a monster capable of defeating Kaido. Compared with Luffy's improvement, his improvement is really far behind. What's more, Naruto and Sasuke in Hokage became 6 Paths class at the age of 16 and saved the world. And he is now 20 years old. It's just stepping into the Super Cage level, that is, the threshold of the admiral level of the pirate world. What else is there to be proud of? Did you come to me this time for something? Bai Han slowly withdrew the autumn water, stared at Ziyuan calmly and asked. Oh, little Bai Han, why are you so indifferent? Can't I come to you if I have nothing to do? As soon as Gion said that, he stuck to Bai Han's side. Feng Yun's soft body clung to Bai Han indifferently. Even that delicate head rested intimately on Bai Han's shoulder, looking extremely ambiguous. However, Haya did not resist Gion's stickers. In 2 years, the relationship between the two has already blurred the boundaries of friends. It's just that neither of them said it clearly. This kind of ambiguous excitement is really unstoppable. Based on your current position, if you didn't have something to do, you wouldn't be able to spare so much time. While talking, Bai Han slapped Gion's hand on his chest secretly, and walked to the shore. Then, under Gion's reluctant eyes, he put on Uchiha's combat uniform. Fortunately, the Uchiha combat uniform can change with the height. Otherwise, after these 2 years, his clothes would have been unwearable long ago. After all, after ushering in the second development, his height is already very close to Marine Admiral's standard height of 3 meters. That's right, Bai Han is now 2.5 meters tall. It's only half a head shorter than Gion, who is 2.7 meters tall. Rounded up, this is considered to be 3 meters. Oh, look at what you said. I can understand it as little Bai Han. Are you complaining that I don't have enough food? Gion covered his mouth and came to Bai Han with a chuckle. However, she didn't continue to play tricks, but said directly, I am here this time, mainly to borrow you to go to Marineford to participate in the combat meeting. Marshal Sengoku is going to start the summit war against Whitebeard. Summit war. Bai Han's heart skipped a beat. If he remembered correctly, shouldn't this thing happen in 2 years? Why is the summit war already started now? This speed is definitely too fast. He hurriedly suppressed the surprise in his heart and asked, what method is Wushui Sengoku going to use to start this summit war? Yuhuzi won't be so easily fooled, right? Bai Han was surprised that the plot had changed so much. Although he knew that because of his actions, the plot of this world would inevitably change. But he never imagined that this summit war could be ahead of schedule. Gion nodded his red lips, and sighed a little. Speaking of which, I was lucky. When Vice Admiral Garp and Akainu Admiral searched for the traces of red-hair pirates all over the world, they unexpectedly found Whitebeard's son. Team member Blackbeard Teach. Originally, Akainu Admiral and Vice Admiral Garp didn't pay attention to this Teach, and planned to arrest Teach, but who would have thought that this Teach would suddenly burst out with a strength not inferior to that of Marine's alternate admiral, and then let them know caught a big fish myself. Although I don't know why Blackbeard Teach is just an unknown player with the strength of Blackbeard Teach, but it seems that Whitebeard wants to hide. Let's talk about Teach's strength. Judging from the potential of this Teach, there is still a great hope to grow to the admiral level in the future. So, since Blackbeard Teach is so important, Marshal Sengoku simply used him as a means to attract Whitebeard. No matter which pirate group would not give up easily. Quote, cold, white. After listening to Gion's words, Bai Han didn't know what to say for a while. He never thought that the wings flapped by his own butterfly would be so big. One of the future 4 emperors, Blackbeard, was arrested by Marine in advance. Moreover, he replaced Ace as the bait of Summit War. Who would believe it? However, Teach at this stage should not have killed Sage, the captain of the 4th team. Therefore, there is a high probability that Whitebeard will really come. After all, that old guy let go of his words and would not let go of anything that hurt his family. Marine deliberately used Whitebeard's family to start the Summit War. How could Daybeard not take the bait? If Whitebeard doesn't come, then Whitebeard will lose face. What the hell? Summit War can still unfold like this. Thinking of this, Bai Han's face suddenly became weird. When does Summit War start? Bai Han pushed Gion, who was trying to put his hand into his collar, and asked with hot eyes. Unexpectedly, I was about to encounter such a grand war when I was just preparing to leave the customs. Just thinking of that scene, Bai Han felt his blood boil all over. After all, that is the strongest man in the world. Moreover, it was 2 years ahead of schedule, Whitebeard, whose body has not yet completely decayed. What a great thing it would be to be able to fight against such a strong man. About a month later, after all, it will take some time for the 7 warlords of the sea to be summoned and the integration of troops. Gion made a sneak attack, kissed Bai Han on the face, and said triumphantly, 1 month. Then let's go. Bai Han flexed his wrist, and said impatiently. At the same time, Nami, Robin, and Hercules, who were originally exercising in the jungle and were attracted by Bai Han's sword energy, rushed over at this moment. And they also heard the conversation between Bai Han and Gion. Hercules immediately asked worriedly, Bai Han, are you going to participate in some war? Do you need the great Hercules to help you? In the past 2 years of getting along, Hercules also regarded Bai Han as his best friend. Even because of Bai Han, the bottleneck of his strength has begun to loosen, and he has a tendency to enter the next new realm. As long as he can take this step, he will directly step into the real top level of this world. Bai Han shook his head and said, no, this is not your war. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.